Apple? Yeah, you want to use it? Anthony, I don't know if that's going to work. Is that your phone?
why we were working through some technical issues. I appreciate you. I am pleased to report that we have a quorum. There are 317 town meeting members, so the number required for a quorum is 159 members. Our town clerk, Sarah Haskell-Aruder, has informed me that we have 192 members at 9:12 a.m. Could you all please stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Thank you very much. Will you just stay standing one more moment, please? At this time, I'd like to bow our heads in a moment of silence to honor the memory of our friends who have passed away since our last meeting. Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank you for being here today to serve as the legislative body for our town. We're going to have a great day, and we're going to get a lot accomplished. Let me start by reminding you there is no smoking in the school or on school grounds. If you have not done so already, could you please turn off your cell phones or put them to vibrate? Okay, let's talk about our plan for today. We have 28 articles on our annual town meeting warrant and 3 on our special town meeting warrant for a total of 31 articles. While I expect healthy debate, I also expect we'll get done today. For planning purposes, I'm planning to take a 1-hour lunch break around noontime. If we are close to finishing at noontime, I'm going to ask you to stay until we get the work done for the day. We're going to skip Article 12, which is Schedule A, the budget, and we're going to take that up as the first article after lunch or as our last article for the day today, depending on how the day goes. For Article 4, you will see me hand the gavel over to our town clerk, Sarah Haskell-Aruder. This article involves the Buzzards Bay Coalition, and I am a member of their board. So as I always do in these situations, I'm going to recuse myself. For Article 11, you'll see me hand the gavel over to Anthony Savastano, our town council, to preside over the meeting for this article. This article includes a vote on the salary of the town clerk, and the town clerk is my sister. So I will step away for that article as well. I'm also a town meeting member, so you will see me vote in the back of the room on the articles. All appropriations during town meeting are from the levy unless you read or hear otherwise. As we start each article, I'm going to read the title of each article. Then I'm going to recognize the sponsor for a summary. A motion's going to be made and seconded by a town meeting member. You'll get the Finance Committee and the Select Board report of their recommendation, and then I will open the floor up to discussion. If you wish to speak, please raise your card. It's easier for me to see you. Sometimes there are a little bit of darker spots as I'm standing up here looking around. The order that I'm generally will recognize people are people who have not spoken, and then those who have not spoken on the article that's being debated. Please wait for a microphone, and please give your name and precinct number every time you speak. You may ask one question, and then you need to give the microphone back. If you have follow-up questions, I will recognize you again for follow-up. All questions are posed to me as the chair. We don't have one-on-one debate here. We do not cross-examine our town officials or other members of town meeting. I'm going to make my best effort to get you answers to the questions that you have. My goal is to get you the information you need to make a well-informed vote. The only people recognized by me may speak, or the moderator at the time. You may not yield your time to another speaker. We do not have any speaking limits, but I would ask you to be brief and not repetitious. If someone has already made a point you wish to make, consider if it truly needs to be made again. This body has a tradition and a culture of treating its members and other meeting participants with respect. My expectation for this will be that this tradition carry forward in our day today. As the legislative body of our community, the expectation is that everyone present today will act with the decorum befitting this body. We assume that people are here working for what they believe is in the best interest of our community. We do not attack other people or question their integrity. We're here to discuss issues and not other people, refer to issues, positions, and points of view. We avoid using names. We're here to do the town's business, and there may be different opinions as to the best way to get that business done. We're going to respect each other's differences. If you have heard enough today and you want to end debate on a question, raise your hand to be recognized and say, I called the question or I move the previous question. The motion is not debatable and 2/3 is required for passage. If it passes, debate stops and the question before town meeting will be put to a vote. Any proposed amendments to the main motion must be in writing and they must be legible. If you are seated in these in these closed sections to me, the front 3 sections, you must be a town meeting member. If you are not a town meeting member, I ask that you sit in the back sections of the auditorium. Votes will be by a show of hand. I will let you know if more than a majority is needed to pass an article. I think all of our articles today only require a simple majority. If you think I've made a mistake when I announce a vote, please stand immediately. If 7 people challenge the vote, there'll be a telecount. A telecount cannot be challenged. When I call the next article, you can no longer challenge the vote. Okay, assisting us here today are the following individuals from DCTV. Peter Chase, Mike Manise, Daniel Medeiros, Jonathan Silva, Todd Migliacci, Jessica Gove, Daniel Ferguson, Matthew Benson, and Quincy Antunes. Thank you guys for helping us today. They have all been appointed as tellers should we need a teller count. Okay, so those are our ground rules for today. I want to introduce the people sitting on stage up here next to me. The first person immediately to my left is Town Council Anthony Savastano, our Town Clerk Sarah Haskell-Aruder, our Director of Budget and Finance Gary Carrero, and our Town Administrator Cody Haddad. Next is our Select Board, and I will allow our Select Board Chair Heidi Silver-Brooks to introduce her board, please.
Thank you. I am Heidi Silver-Brooks. Brooks has said. The chair to my left, we have Nathan Silva, David Tattlebaum, and to my right, Chris O'Neill and Sean McDonald.
Thank you. Finally, we have the 9 volunteers that serve on the Finance Committee and act as the advisors to town meeting. They spend countless hours in budget meetings and reviewing the articles that we're going to be taking up today. And I'm going to turn it over to the chairperson, Janine Simmons, to introduce her committee, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Starting at my far left, we have Bill Bowles, Teresa Ham, Deirdre Farrell Welch. To my immediate right is my Vice Chair, Carrie Parsons, Patrick Saunders, and John Souza. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get started, I'm going to have Attorney Savastano introduce our preliminary motions.
Good morning. Moved and duly seconded that the meeting note the correct call of the warrant and the lawful posting and return of service thereon, that the moderator is hereby relieved from reading each article in its entirety and is allowed to refer to them by title and number, that a motion to add any amount to the budget by increasing any line item or adding a budget matter must include a reduction of the same amount from another line item. And that the moderator is hereby allowed to make up action on any of the several articles out of numerical sequence as she may determine, and that a teller count need not be taken on motions requiring 2/3, 4/5, or 9/10 vote, and that the moderator may declare whether the motion passes or fails.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? And a second. Thank you. All in favor of the preliminary motions, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Okay, those preliminary motions pass at 9:20. All right, here we go. Ready to get started. Article 1, Community Preservation Committee Administrative Budget. Mr. Buddy Baker-Smith.
All right, thank you. This is what we would refer to as a housekeeping item, and the Community Preservation Act allows the Community Preservation Committee to set aside 5% of anticipated revenues for administrative expenses. You'll see in your packet a breakdown of what our administrative budget is. We pay for our legal services that the committee is in need of, sometimes consultation, things like that. we are allowed to set aside up to 5%, but what we've found over the years is the budget of 35,000 is more than adequate. So this 35,000 probably represents closer to like 3%. And any funds that we don't spend in the fiscal year roll back into our unrestricted reserve account for future projects. So I move that the town meeting approve this article.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion on Article 1? Are we ready to vote? I'm sorry, right here, please. We're going to get you a microphone, and then could you please state your name and precinct number? Thank you. Right there on the aisle. Could you raise your hand, sir? He can't, he doesn't, yeah.
Robert Holmes, District 3. And the question I have, I know you're saying you're asking for 35,000. But what concerns me, and I know we can't talk too much about other than the subject, but this budget proposal out here today, if we approve everything they're asking for, your taxes are definitely going to go up. It's a ton of money being asked for here. I'm not saying $35,000 is a lot of money, but I just don't understand why. I know you're saying you need to pay legal fees, and I'm sure, does that include also raises for you guys if you do get the 35,000?
So this is outside the Schedule A budget. This is Community Preservation Act funds, and that's a separate collection of money, and I can let Mr. Baker Smith describe more of that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so this, any of the funds that related to the CPA warrant articles don't have any impact on your tax. The CPA is funded by 1.5% surcharge on your property tax. So those funds are already collected, and as you see in our packet, you'll see what our reserve balances are. So we have the funds to commit to projects, and the revenue that we have is already coming from the surcharge from your property tax. And then in terms of payment, we're all volunteers, so there's no salary for any of the CPC members and stuff. So we just pay for consultation services, legal services, and administrative support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Article 1? Are we ready to, I'm sorry, right in front, please.
Hello, sorry. Caden Lisa of Precinct 7. I just wanted to add, and you can please let me know if this is incorrect, but as you alluded to in state law, you can't just take the CPC money and push it somewhere else. Thank you.
That's correct. Yeah, they have, the Community Preservation Committee is using it for their purposes. Yep. Any further discussion on Article 1? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 1, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 1 passes at 9:25. Article 2, Community Preservation Committee, Fiscal Year 2027, Community Housing Reserve. Mr. Baker Smith.
Yes, per the statute, we are required to either commit to a project or set aside in reserves of at least 10% of expected revenue each year for each of the three purposes that the CPA funds could be spent on: open space preservation, which includes recreation, agricultural preservation, community housing, and historic preservation. So what we are looking at is our estimates of projected revenue in fiscal 27, the amount to set aside in a reserve for housing reflects that 10%. We are not recommending at this town meeting to set aside funds for open space or historic preservation, because as you will see in the warrant articles, we've exceeded the 10% minimum.
Thank you. So you're moving this for us, and
Town meeting approve this article.
thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
The Finance Committee recommends this 6-0.
And Select Board recommendation?
Select Board recommends this 5-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 2? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 2, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 2 passes at 9:27. Article 3, Community Preservation Committee, DCTV renovations, Phase 3. Mr. Baker-Smith.
Yes, so as noted, this is Phase 3, so there's been some preliminary analysis of the needs for the annex building, which was historic building built in 1894, has served many different purposes in town government over the years. Currently, DCTV is at that property. Previously, town meeting approved funds to be used to update the scope of work and prepare bid documents in order to proceed with the exterior renovations that are needed. And that has been completed, and now the project's ready to move forward for construction. So the amount of funds here requested in this article would be used for the scope of work, which includes exterior shingles, replacing the exterior trim, adding a little overhang over an entrance, those sorts of things. The DCTV Enterprise Fund has available an additional $50,000 towards this project. So I move that the town meeting approve this article.
Thank you. And do I have a second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends this Article 6-0.
Select Board recommendation.
Select Board recommends this 5-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 3? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 3, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 3 passes at 9:29. Article 4, Community Preservation Committee, Duval Fields.
This article is requesting funds for the town to purchase a conservation restriction on property at 4 Tannery Lane. This will prevent or essentially provide a permanent restriction on further development of that parcel. It's in a very sensitive environmentally location along Slocum River in a floodplain. This is part of mitigating sea level rise, which is affecting coastal properties and land. It's one of those rare opportunities to provide access to the river, to a waterway, which is something that has been a priority in town plans. And so we move that the meeting approve this article.
Do I have a second? Great. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends this Article 6-0.
Select Board recommendation?
Select Board recommends this Article 5-0.
Okay. Any discussion on Article 4? I will first be recognizing town meeting members, then I will recognize others to speak. Okay, we have a woman.
My name is Kathleen Fentress, Precinct 4. I've lived at 1157 Russell's Mills Road for 41 years. While I support the conservation restriction at 4 Tannery Lane, I strongly oppose Article 4 and the use of community preservation funds to convert this residential property into a public park. I urge no for 3 reasons. First, a lack of transparency. This project has been in the works for a year, yet village residents were given 0 input. Had we been consulted, I'm sure we could have come towards a win-win compromise where everyone was happy. Furthermore, the Buzzards Bay Coalition request to tear down the historic Duval House was refused by the Russell's Mills Historic District.
That's beyond the scope of the warrant article.
Demolishing this home directly.
Ms. Fentress, on the question, so this is only regarding the conservation restriction, it is not regarding any of the other pieces.
Okay, but the Russell's Mills Historic District was put down and had no power. The safety.
But that has nothing to do with the conservation restriction.
Okay. Tannery Lane is a narrow, dangerous road. Russell's Mills already handles traffic from the general store, the landing, and the daffodil fields, which regularly require a police presence. Adding another park without any traffic
This
safety.
has to do with the conservation restriction, which has nothing to do with a park. We're not discussing a park today. We're only discussing the conservation restriction. So if you have comments regarding the conservation restriction, we'd love to hear them. Otherwise, we need to move on.
Would be better spent elsewhere.
Thank you. We have a gentleman over here.
Chiteg, Precinct 1. This is a lot of money, and I just wonder, what is going to be done to deal with the sea rise? I don't see how that fits. Tell me.
So we can get you an answer to that question. Mr. Baker-Smith?
Yes. One of the things is probably a good opportunity to share a little bit about kind of if you will, review of warrant of projects before they're brought to town meeting. So one of the things that we have in our annual plan that you can find on our webpage is a list of goals and priorities and objectives for the use of CPA funds. We pull from the plans that the town has established. So we look at the open space plan, the master plan, and what we find there are some of the important values and objectives for the town. And in those, what we find is that mitigation of rising sea level, one of the things to do is to use conservation restrictions to protect land that is adjacent to waterways from further development. Not to build in areas which are going to be vulnerable in the future. And the town did, in 2020, did a hazard vulnerability analysis and identified the Slocum River in particular as one of those areas in town in which the conservation restrictions should be used to try to mitigate the impact of sea level rise. So it won't prevent the sea from rising, but it's about preventing development in areas that are vulnerable and then create other problems for the town when built environments are in these zones. And so I think it's kind of in that respect. So in terms of the money and the investment, we believe it's consistent with what the town's values are and what the goals are in plans that have been publicly reviewed and established by the town. And in particular, this area has been identified as a high priority for dealing with both the environmental and conservation needs of the town. And so that's kind of how we got to bringing this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Baker-Smith. We have somebody right in the middle here.
Hi, I'm Casey Cutting from Precinct 9. I'm just wondering where the $575,000 goes to. Like, what is it, who is it paying for that conservation restriction?
Mr. Baker-Smith?
Yeah, great question. So the $575,000 goes to the town of Dartmouth that will enable the Conservation Commission to purchase a restriction from the property owner. And so essentially the property owner is relinquishing their development rights. And so if I can take the opportunity, so the CPC brings a lot of those kinds of articles forward. And in our process, one of the things that we look at is what's the assessed value of a conservation restriction. By practice, the CPC wants to make I just had another idea. No. By practice, what we do is we require an assessed value of the conservation restriction. So an appraiser goes out and looks at, does comps, looks at the value of the land that can be developed further, both with what it has there, but also what else could an owner put on that property? Could they rebuild a bigger house, whatever it is? And then looks at the value of the land if there were no development rights, if you could not put anything on the land. And there's a value to that. In this case, the value is $630,000. What we do as a committee is we make sure that when we put forward a recommendation for CPA funds for conservation restriction, by our practice, it's making sure that the value of the CPA funds does not exceed the assessed value of the development rights. And so in this case, I just want to assure you that is the case. So $575,000 is less than the appraised value of the restriction, which is $630,000.
We have a gentleman here.
Chris Ross, Area 9, District 9. I'm all in favor of conservation restrictions. I'm all in favor of dealing with sea level rise. I have gone and looked at this site. It looks reasonably developed already. It looks like much of the potential conservation benefits that we could see in various different parts of the town are not necessarily present. We don't have wildlands. We don't have, areas that are particularly sensitive that have not already been addressed by man-made interventions. It's a 3.5-acre lot. $500,000 out of a fund that has something over $3 million is a tremendous amount of the town's resources to put in a very small area. But we do have large areas where we have land that is vulnerable to sea level rise. We have roads that are potentially could be impacted and cut off people's access. We have a variety of locations where the conservation restriction would buy much more land and much greater areas that could positively impact the future. I don't know that I got another idea, but I'll wait for it. So this seems to be an excessive amount of money for an extremely small amount of environmental benefit. Am I getting something wrong here? That's my question.
Do you want to respond, Mr. Bakersmith?
Yeah, sure. No, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't characterize what your statement is wrong. I think, relying on the appraised value, I think the market has, I think clearly the standard practice for how do you understand the value of an investment. I think we followed standard practice for that in the real estate industry and stuff. This is per acre, this is probably would be considered a more valuable piece of land. So it's really in looking at it in terms of what is unique about the piece of land is that it sits at a very important location, relationship to the river. Other parcels may not be as significant that. It's an opportunity that's available that's unique because there aren't a lot of properties in which along waterways, and especially in areas that are designated as vulnerable, in which the owners are offering to do this, are willing to give up their development rights. So it's unique and a priority in a couple of different ways in that regard, I think. And yes, there are other properties that perhaps might come before the CPC And we have the funding to continue to pursue projects in the future. And I think what you see now is what a conservation restriction will preserve for the future. Without a conservation restriction, what you see now is not necessarily what you will see on that property in the future. And that's just that's just an owner's right. One could develop the property in a different way as a residential property. Selling your development rights locks the property in, and the landscape that you see today is locked in for the future. Without a conservation restriction, the present owner or any future owner that we do not know has the right to proceed per zoning and per zoning board of appeals to do what they want with the property. And so it's not clear that the property will necessarily continue to look the way it does unless a conservation restriction is placed on it.
This gentleman on the end.
Kevin Lee, Precinct 6. I had the pleasure of living at 858 Rockadundi Road many, many years ago. My children, part of their growing up years, were down along the border on the other side of the causeway there. And this is a piece of beautiful natural property. I see it as a no-brainer, and I support passing this article 110%.
Thank you. Ms. Gilbert? On the end over here.
Thank you. I'm Diane Gilbert in Precinct 8. I've been following this project quite closely for a number of months and have attended meetings related to this project. And I want to say, too, that I'm 110% in favor of this CR. I know that there are people that are new to town meeting, and there may be people that are new to how CPC works. So I invite everybody to check the CPC webpage and look at all of the material that they offer there. And finally, with the moderator's permission, and if he agrees, I would like to ask Mark Rasmussen, the executive director of the Buzzards Bay Coalition, to speak to this, if that's appropriate.
Mr. Rasmussen, would you like to speak on this article? You can please come down to our podium.
Morning, everyone. Mark Rasmussen, Precinct 4, President, Buzzards Bay Coalition. I think Buddy did a great job explaining the merits of the project, but I think the things to emphasize, I think, here are, this is a neighborhood now where lots sell for $650,000, $700,000. The price is based on the value of a house lot on the Slocum River in precious Russell's Mills Village. That's how you end up at a price like this. What you are acquiring, I think it's really just important to note, very simple terms. I could go on about the values of this property, and I could if anybody wants to talk more about the environmental values. Not only is it critically climate vulnerable, it's also very strong fish and wildlife habitat right at the head of tide, right where the Pascomansit meets the Slocums. This makes it a very special place from natural resource perspective. It currently has a house with a cesspool right on the edge of the river. There's a chance to remediate that and improve the health of the river here. It's also flatly, I believe, one of the most scenic properties in the town, right? That view is iconic for this town, and it's one of the few places across an open vista you can look down the Slocum River estuary. I believe places like that should be enjoyed by all of us and be available to all of us. The CR does four things. I really just want to hone in on what this article does. First off, it preserves the property forever as open space, period. That land will become a climate buffer, absorbing storms, absorbing floods, as opposed to impacting roads and houses. That's what the value of an open space parcel at the head of tide has a lot of benefits. It will stay undeveloped. This is the second, I think, most important thing. By buying a CR, a conservation restriction, I'm sorry, I keep on lapsing into calling it a CR. By buying a conservation restriction, you are dictating, the town is dictating, that no buildings will happen on this site. There will not be construction here. There will not be facilities, bathrooms, whatever else you might imagine on a park. They will not happen because of the CR. It's ironic that some of the concerns about misuse of the property are trying to actually not approve a CR. The CR is the protection against misuse. It means there will be no ball fields here. There will be no basketball courts, no tennis courts, no facilities. This will be a natural open space. The third point is it secures public access for all of you. The CR specifically makes the property available to the public forever as a right enforceable by the town. And lastly, I think that point can't be overemphasized. Conservation restriction, the Buzzards Bay Coalition will own and manage the property. We will care for a trail. We will care for any trash that's dropped there. Our staff, which manages properties all over the region, will care for the place. But the town acquires with the CR the right to always hold us to the terms of the CR. We can't build things. We can't do anything that's contrary to the CR. And we can't take away your public access. Like, that's what you buy with the CR. And I think it's really important for the town's finances, you outsource all the ongoing management of the property to Buzzards Bay Coalition. We are assuming the obligations for taking care of the place, mowing the field, taking care of the trails. That's all to Buzzards Bay Coalition. So the town's the enforcer. They secure the rights. They have the right to watch over us and make sure that we hold up to our end of the bargain. That's the power of the conservation restriction. So I very much want your support for the article. I think it's very important for the town, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rasmussen. I have, right here in the middle, please.
Hi, everybody. Laura Stone, Precinct 8. I just wanted to make a comment. I am supportive of restriction. It has been outlined beautifully. I think the rub and why we might have expected to all come today to sit here for a long time talking about Article 4 is that the restriction and the philosophy of that sounds great. I think what people have been concerned about is process, which is what's going to happen to it if the restriction is passed, and do the abutters, neighbors, town residents feel like they've been involved in the decision for mitigating traffic patterns, mitigating anything that gets installed, any ways in which their residential neighborhood is impacted. So that's all I wanted to comment on, because I don't think people have felt assured about that second piece.
Please keep the clapping to a minimum. We have someone here. And then I'll get to you, Mr. Herron.
My name is Jeannie Tripp, Precinct 7. And my thought is I'm all for community preservation. The $500,000, yes, it's a lot of money. Maybe it's a worthy deal for what they think they're getting. But my question applies more to Buzzards Bay. If they're the ones that are going to be maintaining it, who funds them? Where's that money coming from? And I don't understand how the two are correlated unless they're on the same mission.
I'll get you an answer to that question, Mr. Baker-Smith.
Yes, because that's an important question, because that's that's a question that the Community Preservation Commission or Committee looks at when we are considering projects. Because one of the things is that you can't use CPA funds for maintenance. So one of the things we look at, if we're going to bring a project to town meeting for your consideration, and the CPC is not the decision-making body here. Town meeting is the decision-making body for these funds. We're doing your due diligence, though. So when we bring articles to you related to projects, it's important, one, that they're eligible. It's important that we have the funds to do it. It's important that the project has a likelihood of success. and benefits the town, the whole town. And so we look at the plans. Public access is really important because everybody contributes to the CPA funds. Everybody has a surcharge. So we look at that. But part of the success of the project is the sponsor's ability to complete the project, so their experience, their track record, and also their ability to maintain it going forward. And so we do consider that. And so the expectation, and we have confidence at the Buzzards Bay Coalition, given their extensive experience and track record in southeastern Mass, has the ability and the resources to maintain the properties. So that really is an important question, but we do consider it. And that's part of the kind of work that the committee does and thinks about on any of the projects that we bring forward to you. And if a comment was made about process, and if I could just, if you're okay, if I could just take a moment.
That would be fine, Mr. Bakersmith.
On the Community Preservation Committee side of things. So how is it that the public is aware of the work of the Preservation Committee, which includes reviewing proposals and then bringing recommendations to town meeting? So a couple of things. One is we have a public request for proposals. The notice and the schedule of that is on our webpage. So you can see on our webpage when we are expecting to get proposals, and that's twice a year. The next one's coming up, I think the third week of June is the deadline. Like any other town meeting or town committee or board, we have open meeting, minutes and agendas are posted. The other thing that we do is we put the applications that are under review on our webpage. So you can see, I think they're probably put back there in March or April or something, the complete applications for the projects that have been under consideration. And then finally, we hold public hearings. So when we consider projects for recommendations to the town meeting, we hold a public hearing, put out the notice, and get comments. We write to the select board, we invite the finance committee, and we also annually have a public meeting to get comments on what our annual plan should look like. What are our values and objectives and strategies for the use of CPA funds? You will see that plan on our webpage. So we're trying to be as transparent as possible. We're showing you our finances. We're showing you that we have sufficient finances to do the work. We are showing you what the proposals are that are under consideration. Our process and discussion is open to you either to attend the meeting, read our minutes, or watch us on DCTV. So it's important for us to be transparent. And these are all the ways that as a town, as a community member, that you can see what we're doing and understand what is moving through our process. So thank you.
Mr. Herron?
John Herron, Precinct 8. I'm going to vote no on the project, and I ask you to vote no too. This article can be brought back to the fall town meeting, and in doing so, we'll give time to the residents to be included in the conversation. Thank you.
Ms. Sweet, right behind.
Margaret Sweet, Precinct 9. And in total transparency, I was a member of CPC. I am no longer a member. I haven't been a member for a month, buddy, maybe? Okay. And I would like to see this postponed until fall. There's a lot of questions on this. I feel that a lot of things need to be answered. The ownership of this has changed several times. Buzzards Bay, Mass Art, then back to Buzzards Bay. And I feel that although it's a CR, there are other properties in this town that could use that kind of money. We have enough property on the tax rolls that are not paying taxes now because of things like this. And it's my feeling, let's postpone this until the October meeting to see some of these questions answered. We all like preservation. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a big animal lover, so I like preservation. But this is a lot of money, and there's a lot of other parcels that perhaps could use it and would be larger. And that's my question, and thank you all for hearing me out.
Thank you. We have a gentleman here in the front.
Thank you. Peter Howland, Precinct 1. So I came here looking to learn a little bit more about this, and I think that what we're asking for is quite a bit of money. We already have a very heavy budget in the town. One of the town meeting members asked a pretty blunt question about ongoing cost of maintenance about the property, and I don't feel that that was answered either. So I make a motion to move this article indefinitely.
You combine two different motions. Either motion to move the article or motion to indefinitely postpone.
I make a motion to indefinitely postpone this article.
So we have a motion to indefinitely postpone. We have a second. Do we have any discussion on the indefinite postponement?
The motion to postpone indefinitely is not amendable. If it fails, you can make a separate motion.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on the motion to indefinitely postpone? So we're ready to vote?
Sarah?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Baker-Smith.
Yeah, I question as a matter that the article can, that this will have any impact on any future action on this conservation restriction. The reason why I say it, I'm not an attorney, but the Community Preservation Act enables and authorizes only the Community Preservation Committee as the entity that can bring CPA warrant articles to town meeting. So I'm just expressing my opinion. I don't believe any action to preclude the CPC from ever bringing forward a conservation restriction article for this property is actually would be consistent with the act. We would bring it back. So I just don't want people to be confused by thinking that this has now removed the article right from any future town meeting.
Mr. Savastano, do you have something?
No, you said that the CPC it would be up to the CPC whether a motion to indefinitely postpone basically kills the existing article. So you would have to vote to. My microphone's not on. Is it on? Okay. How's that? I'm usually loud enough without a microphone, so no, I'm sorry. It essentially kills the existing article if it's indefinitely postponed. So you said the CPC would then have to vote to bring it back to the next town meeting.
Yeah, yes, I just don't want folks to think that this necessarily would mean that the article, this conservation restriction, would not be brought forward in the future. It very likely would if the CPC felt that this project was still worthy of the use of CPA funds.
Sarah?
So 1 second, please. Mr. Souza?
Yes, good morning. John Souza, Precinct 4. I'm speaking in opposition of indefinite postponement. Our job as town meeting members is to gather the facts. And that's what we're here doing this morning. And we have all the experts in the room to answer our questions, to hear your concerns, I feel there's no need to indefinitely postpone this. Let's hear all the facts and all the concerns and take a vote this morning. Thank you.
Nate?
Nathan Silva, Precinct 6. And I don't know if the question on indefinite postponement, what would be the difference between indefinite postponement or postponement to a date certain, that being fall town meeting? Would that change the process in any way? And then a secondary question, I don't know if it's appropriate to ask it in the context of indefinite postponement motion, but what would be the process moving forward for some of the future plans of this property that we've heard, right? Right now we're voting on the conservation restriction itself, but if there was any need, if there was any future development on that site, for example, a park, what would be the process that needs to happen to enable that to go forward?
I'll get you an answer to your question from Mr. Savastano.
Yeah, so you can do a motion to postpone to a time certain, but that's within this. I'm not using the microphone. I need some more cord. So let me start over. You can only postpone to a time certain within this town meeting. So you could postpone it to after another article, but not to another date, because that's a new town meeting. At the end of this town meeting, we have a motion to dissolve. All the business of this town meeting is finished. So once that business is finished, then it would if it did not pass, or if it was postponed indefinitely, or defeated in some other way, it would require to come on a new town meeting, a new vote by the CPC to do that. There's no way to move it from this town meeting to a future town meeting.
Mr. Garvin? I don't believe that's on the question.
Bob Garvin, Precinct 9. I have a question. Was the Finance Committee made aware of the fact that the abutters had concerns about this?
Janine?
No.
Any other discussion on the indefinite postponement here in the front? We'll get to that.
A nonprofit.
Please say your name and precinct.
Caden Lisa, Precinct 7. A nonprofit organization which has the support and respect of the majority of people seemingly in this room is offering to protect and maintain a slice of our environment in perpetuity at the cost of funds specifically established by state law to serve this purpose. I'm not certain what more needs to be answered. I'm not sure what more needs to be cleared up. We aren't dealing with a single private property owner. I repeat, a nonprofit organization which has the support and respect of the majority of people in this room. Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready to vote? Yes? Okay.
The vote is on the motion to indefinitely postpone.
Correct.
Not on the warrant article.
Yes, the motion is indefinitely postponed. All those in favor of indefinitely postponing Article 4? All those opposed? Okay, so the motion fails at 10:06. We're now back to the main article. Do we still have discussion on the main article? Mr. Nunes.
Thank you, Moderator. John Nunes, Precinct 6. I move the question, please.
We have a second. All those in favor of moving the question? All those opposed? Okay, so the motion to move the question passes. We are now going to take a vote on the main motion before us. All those in favor of passing Article 4, please raise your hand. All those opposed? The motion passes at 10:07 a.m. Article 5. So town meeting moved the question. That is not debatable. We need a 2/3 vote, but it is not debatable. The town meeting has spoken. They want to end discussion, and so we're moving on to Article 5. Community preservation. Please, you need to please stop being disruptive, or you're going to need to excuse yourself. Town meeting spoke. So town meeting spoke, and they want to move the question. They want no more discussion.
It is out of the It is out of the control. Stop yelling. It is out of the control of the moderator. Once you can run for town meeting. Once a motion to move the article is passed, the moderator has no more control. That is not a debatable question. The article has to be moved. And the vote has to be taken.
Article 5, Community Preservation Committee, Crapo Field Lighting.
Thank you. The Crapo Field lighting project is a project to replace and upgrade the lighting for the recreation fields.
Excuse us, could you please either sit down or remove yourselves? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Mr. Baker Smith.
Okay. So this proposal, or this project, is to replace and upgrade the lighting at Crapo Field in the amount of $230,000. The DYAA, which has a lease on the property, will use the funds to install LED lighting, which is much more energy efficient, so it will really help with the cost of operations of the field, provide better illumination of the field, more focused illumination of the field than the old lighting, better controls, those sorts of things. They would replace about 112 lights, and I move that the meeting approve this article.
Thank you for the second. Any discussion on Article 5? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 5, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 5 passes at 10:10 a.m. So what I would entertain would be a motion to adjourn so that we can go to our special meeting. Thank you. In a second. All in favor of adjourning? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. So we're going into our special meeting. I am now, I'm going to write this down before I miss it. Passed at 10:10. So I'm opening our special town meeting at 10:10 a.m. Okay, so are we ready? That is a separate packet, separate grouping of paper in your packet. It's Article 1 that I'm working on for Article 1 Special Town Meeting. Supplement to the fiscal year 2026 operating budget of the Water Department Enterprise Fund. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 1 of this special town meeting is to appropriate an additional $450,000 to the Water Enterprise Fund for the current fiscal year. The cost of running the Water Department Enterprise Fund has significantly increased. This is essentially a housekeeping article that allows us to spend the additional money as a point of notice for town meeting members. Enterprise funds operate as self-sufficient, so this is no hit on the general tax levy. Enterprise funds are fully self-sufficient, meaning that ratepayers fully fund the enterprise funds.
Thank you. I think Mrs. Silver Brooks is making the motion.
I am.
And I have a second. Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommended 7-0.
And the Select Board recommendation.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Special Town Meeting Article 1? Are we ready to vote? Great. All in favor of Special Town Meeting Article 1? Opposed? Special Town Meeting Article 1 passes at 10:12 a.m. Special Town Meeting Article 2. Supplement to the fiscal year 2026 operating budget of the Sewer Enterprise Fund. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article is exactly the same as Article 1, except the amount is $200,000, and this is for the Sewer Department Enterprise Fund.
Thank you. And do we have a motion?
Motion
Thank
made
you.
by myself.
Thank you. And second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends this article 7-0.
And the Select Board?
Select Board recommends this article 5-0.
Any discussion on Special Town Meeting Article 2? Could I have a microphone over here?
Oh.
I'm going to get a microphone for you.
Hi, Cecilia Ross, Precinct 9. It's really an educational question I have. I know that we're headed for disaster with the sewer and the water, and people are complaining about their water bills. And here we are taking the funds from these two departments that are so important to our township and giving them back to the township, which I'm sure we need to help them. I'm just wondering, what's the long-range plan here? And maybe you all have a lot more information than we do about why you voted for it.
Let me get you some answers to that. Mr. Haddad, do you want to start there?
Yeah, so a point of clarification. This is not taking money from the enterprise funds and diverting it to the town's general fund. It's actually the opposite. Mass General Law requires that we appropriate a set of money that can only be spent up to that amount per fiscal year in the enterprise funds. In the annual town meeting, you'll do it in latter articles. It was previously done in the June town meeting of 2025. So basically, we appropriated for the Sewer Enterprise Fund $6.1 million last June. We expect that we're going to exceed that, so we need to appropriate an additional $200,000. So it allows us to actually spend more money in the Sewer Department Enterprise Fund. So it's not taking money from them. The revenue is already coming in. The rates are already covering those costs. It just allows the town to spend it to cover the cost of doing business.
Anything else? Any further discussion on Special Town Meeting Article 2? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Special Town Meeting Article 2? Opposed? Special Town Meeting Article 2 passes at 10:14 a.m. Special Town Meeting Article 3, supplement to the fiscal year 2026 operating budget of the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article is exactly the same as the prior two articles, except it is in the amount of $100,000 and is for the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund.
Thank you. Mrs. Silverbrooks?
Motion.
Thank you. And a second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation, please.
Finance Committee recommends this article 7-0.
And the Select Board, please.
Select Board recommends this article 5-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 3 of the supplemental special town meeting? Are we ready to vote? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 3 of the special town meeting passes at 10:15. Would someone love to make a motion to dissolve special town meeting? Thank you. In a second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Special town meeting closes at 10:16. And a motion to reopen our regular town meeting? In a second.
Motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Great. We're back in our regular town meeting at 10:16 a.m. and we are starting with Article 6, Community Preservation Committee, Dartmouth Cultural Center. Mr. Baker Smith, please.
You should have let him finish all of his. Yeah.
Thank you. This is a historic preservation project. The Dartmouth Cultural center is also kind of the location is the old Southworth Library. Folks know it's kind of Prospect in Elm Street. Town meeting has previously approved $260,000 towards this project. The project also has a state grant of another $160,000. The town has entered into a long-term lease with the cultural center for the property, and now they are ready to proceed to construction. Over the course of the time in receiving these previous grants and securing the long-term lease, the scope of work has increased around the needs of handicapped access and handicapped bathroom. There are some cost increases in construction, et cetera, et cetera. And so the total, the additional funds here are what is needed to now fully fund the construction budget so that they can then go out to bid and proceed with the work, which will involve exterior work, repointing the stonework, handicap parking and access to the property. That's important for a cultural center. They're eligible for additional grants in the future because they are fully accessible. They would be then a fully accessible space. Also improvements in the HVAC system, which is important for any kind of cultural center where there's art exhibited, and just a better configuration use of the space, interior, and for the volunteer staff there. So all in all, the amount it requests is $853,300, which represents the gap between the previous commitments and the estimate now going forward with construction. So I move that the town meeting approve this article.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Select Board recommendation?
5-0.
And Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee voted 5-0-2.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 6? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 6, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 6 passes at 10:19 a.m. Article 7, Community Preservation Committee Agricultural Preservation Fund. Mr. Baker-Smith.
Yes. This is a recommendation for $1.5 million in CPA funds to capitalize an agriculture preservation fund. That was not my idea. This fund is enabled by the statute, Mass General Laws 40, Section 8LH, which essentially, as people are probably more familiar with, conservation funds that a town conservation commission may have the ability to use. Well, that same statute in the section referenced creates the exact same authority that the town can establish an agricultural preservation fund that the Agricultural Commission then has the ability to administer. The CPA funds would capitalize this, and the town has history here with the Agricultural Preservation Trust that was established in the late 90s, that was used effectively to help preserve agricultural land. One of the things that's important about having such a fund, different from bringing our separate project articles to town meeting each time, is that this enables one, for the Agricultural Commission to respond to potential projects and opportunities to preserve farmland in between town meeting cycle. They have that authority, but it would also provide some predictability for the farming community, both people younger people who are interested in getting into farming, as well as older farmers who are looking to retire, if you will, but are very interested in maintaining the legacy of agriculture on the land that they have worked so hard on. And so this is funds to capitalize that. And I move that the town meeting approve this article.
Thank you. And do I have a second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends this Article 7-0.
And Select Board recommendation?
Select Board recommends it's 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 7? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 7, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 7 passes at 10:22. Article 8, appropriation from the cemetery sale of lot fund. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good morning, everyone. Article 8 is the annual appropriation to the cemetery sale lot fund in the amount of $2,000 in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 114, Sections 15 and 25.
I'd like to move this.
Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends this Article 7-0.
And the Select Board?
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 8? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 8, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 8 passes at 10:23. Article 9. Article 9, establishment of fiscal year 2027 maximum spending budget for revolving funds. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 9 establishes the FY27 maximum spending budget for revolving funds pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and 1/2, and subsections 37 through 6. Cemetery revolving fund, $4,500. Recreation and Park revolving fund and lost damaged items, $400,000. And library revolving fund, $10,000.
Thank you. And Mrs. Brooks, are you moving this?
I make a motion.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends this Article 7-0.
And the Select Board?
We recommend it 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 8? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 8, please raise your hand.
Isn't this Article 9?
I'm sorry, 9. All in favor of Article 9, please raise your hand. Thank you for keeping me on track. Opposed to Article 9, please raise your hand. Thank you. Article 9 passes at 10:24. Article 10, acceptance of capital planning committee report and funding of fiscal year 2027 capital plan. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 10 funds the annual CPC, the Capital Planning Committee requests. The Capital Planning Committee, after discussion with various town departments, develops and prioritized list of capital items and projects. Article 10 includes the items that the Capital Planning Committee has voted on and is now being recommended to be funded through various funding sources.
Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends this Article 7-0.
And the Select Board?
Select Board recommends this Article 5-0.
What I'm going to do with this article is I'm going to read out the totals in each section. If you have a question on that section, could you please call a hold? And I will go back to you and we can talk about anything that you want to talk. We can get any questions you have answered, okay? So, Dartmouth Police Department total, $187,560. Hold. Dartmouth Public Schools, $1,175,000. Is there, if you hear it, thanks. If you want to hold, please yell out loud enough that I can hear it, please. DPW Highway, $600,000. General Government, $90,000. Dartmouth Parks and Recreation, $30,000. Sewer Enterprise Fund, $90,000. Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, $400,000. DCTV, $350,000. Waterways Enterprise Fund, $90,000. Okay. Okay, let's go back and clear the holds. Who called the hold on Dartmouth Police Department, please? Did anybody call a hold on Dartmouth Police Department? Oh, sorry. Let me get a microphone down there, please.
Hi, Erica Correa, Precinct 5. Can someone explain the $60,000 for the staffing study?
Sure. Mr. Haddad.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Moderator. So the Town of Dartmouth Police Department has operated at the same staffing level for as long as recent history shows us. And so as we are looking to become more efficient, make sure we're spending taxpayer funds to the highest level, we wanted to look at a study of not just the number of officers that we have, but also the structure of the department, response time, so on and so forth. So this is consistent with the Select Board goals for the current fiscal year to make sure that we are staffed adequately. Minimum manning is where it should be in the overall structure of the Dartmouth Police Department.
Any further questions on the Dartmouth Police Department? So we've cleared that hold. Okay, moving on. Dartmouth Public Schools. Who has a question on that? In the back over there, please.
Susan Gaducci, Precinct 9. The bathroom renovations in multiple schools, is that from just daily use or as a result of abuse?
Anybody up here? Should?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Moderator. Yeah. So through the course of the requests through the department through CPC, these have been renovations that are being completely done throughout the schools. This is not just a paint job. These are replacing fixtures that are dated 30, 40 years in some case. It's not that it's abuse; it's just normal wear and tear on the structure inside the facilities.
Thank you. And I have a question here, please.
Jeannie Tripp, Precinct 7. I'm just curious about the school bus replacement. We outsource our busing, so that caught my attention.
Great question. Mr. Haddad?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. That is true. We do have one full-size school bus that the school department owns. It's used for different activities, bringing students out into co-ops, so on and so forth. So that's the bus that would be replaced.
Any further questions for regarding the Dartmouth Public Schools? So we're clearing that hold. Great. The next hold I have is DCTV. We'll call that hold. Down here, please.
Gil Borges, Precinct 4. If DCTV has so much money, is there a mechanism where they can turn some of this money back over to the general budget? And a second thing would be, DCTV, when it was started, wasn't it supposed to be fully funded by the cable company?
Let me get your answers to those questions, Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So I'll take that in two parts. The first is DCTV is actually experiencing the exact opposite. They do not have a ton of money, where they are now having to reduce their overall operating budget. So when we get to the article for their operating budget, you'll see a decrease. The second part is, yes, they are fully funded by cable revenues. As everyone in this room is likely aware, people are cutting the cord, is what we call it. And so we do not receive a part of those revenues from internet alone. It has to be part of the cable. So as cable revenues decline, we have to adjust that budget down. And so that's what we're seeing. The town does recoup a cost towards DCTV in overhead. Again, that will be in the line item when we get to funding that enterprise fund. And that covers things like benefits, health insurance, the cost for administration. So we do get a portion of that back from the DCTV Enterprise Fund in addition to all the enterprise funds.
Follow-up question here, please, Mr. Borges.
We're all facing hard times. So when I face hard times, what I do is I tighten my belt. So rather than spending more, I think it's time to rein them in a little bit and spend less. I mean, $200,000 for a truck. I don't think Channel 10 News has nice trucks like that.
Any further hold on DCTV? The gentleman here, please. We'll get your mic.
Oh, thank you. Brian Thomas, Precinct 4. Is there another way for DCTV to bring in revenue? Could they do underwriting, advertising? Because it is a lot of money.
Good question. Is there another way for DCTV to get revenue, Mr. Haddad?
Those are opportunities that we will be investigating over the next several years. I do just want to make a point, clarification that This is only for the capital items for the DCTV. This is not for their operating budget. And this is a result of retained earnings, meaning that the revenues that came in over the years exceeded the expenses, and so we were able to build a savings account essentially, which is retained earnings, and that's what's funding this here. This is not the annual operating budget, and again, this is not the town's general tax dollars. This is directly from the cable revenues that have come in over the years.
Thank you. Do you have another question here, please, Mr. Borges?
Yeah, Gil Borges, Precinct 4. I had asked earlier, nobody answered it. Is there a mechanism where when there's extra money, because it seems we use the word retained and surplus a lot, is there a mechanism where some of this money, whether it be this department or other departments, to turn it back to the general fund so that maybe help us out with our tax bills, maybe give money to the schools for TAs, stuff like that?
You did ask that question. I'm sorry I didn't get you an answer. Mr. Haddad or Mr. Carrero?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So, as Mr. Haddad had mentioned just a little while ago, we do that through the course of the article that you'll be seeing in a few minutes for the budget. But under Mass General Law, we cannot, because these are set up as enterprise funds, they have to be solely functioning like that. We cannot just take money out of an enterprise fund and bring it back into the general fund if we need it on the general fund side. So back when those were set up a long time ago, that was the purpose of it, so it'd be self-supportive and self-running on either rates, et cetera.
Follow-up question, Mr. Borges?
You can't take it back, but can they voluntarily give it to you?
No, they under Mass General Law, they can't.
On DCTV, on the aisle there, please.
Jim Griffith, Precinct 2. I have worked with Dartmouth Community Television on public access programming involving civic matters that involve our town. And I can tell you, if you've ever visited their facilities, there is absolutely positively nothing there that's elaborate, out of whack. These people are operating on a shoestring as far as I can tell. They do a great job. They're very enthusiastic. I just can't believe that we're having this level of questioning about their activity.
Thank you. Anything else on DCTV? Can I clear that hold? Great. Waterways Enterprise Fund. Who called that hold, please?
Hi, I'm Alexi Redmond, Precinct 5. I just wanted to say that I do support this amount of money, but I am seeking clarification because I was looking at what was unfunded. I was looking at things that were unfunded, including a centrifugal pump rebuild, administrative services, filter valve replacements, wastewater treatment facility upgraded designs, things that I would consider really important for clean water. And so my question is, why did you not ask for more funding when clean water should be a priority for everyone in this town? Thank you.
Great question. John?
Thank you. So the article that the hold was on the Waterways Enterprise Fund. Just for a point of understanding, the Waterways Enterprise Fund is actually our harbor master, not water, like drinking water that you think of. So it can be a little bit confusing. But this is simply for the harbor master's office, essentially. It's a vehicle for that. As far as why the CIPC recommends and doesn't recommend things, in an ideal world, they would recommend everything that is needed. But we have financial constraints, and so the Water Enterprise Fund, which is what you're speaking of, last year went through some difficult times and doesn't have a ton of money put aside, and so we anticipate being able to fund those requests at a higher level in future years.
Okay, on the Waterways Enterprise Fund, right here, please.
Chris Ross, Precinct 9. Could you explain the need for and the use of a Ford 250 utility truck for the Waterways Department?
Sure, Mr. Haddad.
Yes, so that is currently what the harbor master uses as the vehicle, as an F-250. We recently had to take out of service the deputy harbor master's vehicle. An F-250 is needed because we're towing boats. We have a number of our boats are large and they have to be taken out of the water, brought to Westport for servicing. In addition, we just went through a comprehensive emergency management plan operation. In peak season, we have 1,400 boats in the harbor, and if we needed to get them out of the harbor in an emergency, our harbor master would need to step in and help people pull those boats out of the water, and so an F-250 would be needed to do that.
Thank you. Anything else on our Waterways Enterprise Fund hold? No. I think that clears all our holds. So are we ready to vote on Article 10? Okay. All in favor of Article 10, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 10 passes at 10:37. Article 11, salaries and stipends of elected officials. Let me just write this down and I'm going to get out of the way.
Recognize Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Attorney Savastano. Article 11 sets the salaries and stipends of elected officials. You'll notice that there's only one numerical value above 0. That is for our one full-time elected official. That is the town clerk. This is a recommendation that I had made. The reason for the amount of $110,248 is the town underwent a comprehensive compensation and classification study over the last year. The position of town clerk was included in that study. The range was graded as the position was graded as a grade 22 in that new study for the town's overall compensation. What we did with all of our positions was we took the existing compensation, plugged them into the new salary scale, and this is where it ended up on the town salary scale. So it's consistent with all other positions of the town, and it equates to a grade 22 step 4 on the town's compensation schedule.
Okay, do we have a motion? Second? Okay, there's a discussion on the article. Sir?
Gil Borges, Precinct 4. I have never seen a position that gets more adjustments than this one. Very short time ago, it was around $70,000. Then there was an adjustment. I called it a raise, but it was told that it wasn't a raise, it was an adjustment. However, if it had gone down, it would have been a decrease. When is it going to stop, this particular position?
Mr. Haddad?
Thank you, Attorney Savastano. So this is consistent with all of our other positions, full-time positions that we have in town. We give annual increases depending on contractual union positions. Most of our department heads are in a union, United Steelworkers, and so we have contracted increases for them. For the department heads that are not in unions, we have individual personnel contracts that call for increases as well. So this is, again, just consistent with all the other positions in town. It's no different. What's being proposed is no different than any other department head level position, which the town clerk serves as a department head in the town of Dartmouth.
Any other discussion? Sir?
Robert Holmes, District 3. The discussion I have is you mentioned in your budget proposal that you looked at towns of comparable size and population when you determined what town clerks should get paid, and they're all about the same. But you never cite what towns you went and looked at. That's concerning to me because we should know what towns you're looking at that you're saying are equal to what this young lady wants more of. Well, I did my own research and I looked at towns comparable size and comparable population. And they're close, but right now our town clerk is the highest paid town clerk. So why in the world, it's every year, I agree with that gentleman, and everything we approve here, and what I find more disturbing is, no offense to anybody, you get a unanimous all the time. There's no dissensions. So you got 5-0 all the time, 7-0 all the time. Nobody disagrees with any of this ever. I mean, I've never heard of that. If I put 11 people in a room right now, there's no way all of 11 of us are going to agree on almost anything.
Let's stay on the warrant article,
Yeah, of course
please.
you want to stay on it. Okay. I'd stay on it too. But the point is, she's already got a raise last year. I can't see, and that's what's going on. If we approve all these raises, taxes are going to go up. That's all I can do, and it's going to go up high, and that doesn't stop them next year because any town or city can raise your taxes by 2.5% for any reason at all. So you can give all this money today, and next year they say, we want another 2.5. If they don't go over that, they don't need our permission. The country itself is in a state of uncertainty. We're at a war, gas, oil going up, food going up, and here we are going to give a ton of money more in raises. And no offense, some of you are new. You've been here a year, and you guys already want to raise? You've been here a year. Okay, sure. I'm sure you're going to call me off, sure. Anyway, that's my talk. That's what I got to say.
So, excuse me, you're no longer recognized. Please sit down. Terry Ham. Close to the mic.
Terry Ham, Precinct 4. Anybody who says that this hasn't been discussed in previous years hasn't been following Finance Committee for very long, because it certainly has. The position that we're discussing, the main position that's being discussed under this article, is an elected position. And in previous years, it wasn't part of the process in terms of setting a salary, and now it is. And to me, that makes perfect sense. And I think that it comes up because it's one person, but we elected her. So if you'd like to run for the position, go for it.
Heidi Silverbrooks.
Hello. Oh, I'm back. I just wanted to state that, as I believe someone already did, this is the only elected official, and that's why we don't vote on every department heads. This is the only elected official. And the list of all other elected by the town are listed receiving no stipend for what we do. If you are unhappy with the town clerk position when you vote, then you vote against the person or the position. But as an employee, it is our due diligence to make sure our employees are compensated. And so that is the figure. You can disagree. That's fine.
Sir.
Peter Knowlton, Precinct 6. I'm just curious as to what we're voting on, because the screen is different than what's in our packet. So it says town moderator in our packet, 0. No. No. Look at the town.
We just gave her a $110,000 raise.
So I'm just curious what we're voting on, that's all.
You're
Because in
voting
our
on what's
packet,
in your
it's different
packet.
than what's up on the screen.
I think they merged the total with the moderator.
So you took it off the screen? Okay. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
She had her fingers crossed back there, hoping you were going to vote yes. Sir in the back.
Sorry, Chris Fletcher, Precinct 5. By my calculations, this is only 3.3% raise or something like that. Is that consistent with the rest of the town employees? Would they get more than that? I mean, that's below the cost of inflation.
Mr. Haddad?
Yeah, so this year is a little bit different because we just had that compensation and classification study done. So we're still in bargaining with all of the town's general unions. But what I can say is that because you're implementing a new compensation plan across the board, right? So we're taking our old compensation plan, thrown out, we're implementing a new plan. What we do is we take the current salary, we plug you in the new schedule, and where you fall closest is where you plug in. So that's what we did with the town clerk. So it's a range of what we're seeing for different positions, but it's in that 2 to 4% range that most positions are falling into for increases for this year.
Ma'am.
Andrea Langhauser, Precinct 7. Out of respect to the gentleman over there that asked the question about what different towns you looked at for the compensation study, could you please answer that question? I mean, he's volunteering his time.
Mr. Haddad?
Thank you, attorneys. Excuse me. Thank you, Attorney Savastano. Yeah, just also a point before I list the towns. I didn't do this. The town did not do this. We hired a third-party consultant for this exact reason. We wanted someone who was totally impartial, and they used criteria to develop comparable communities. They looked at things like total budget size, total state aid, population, equalized value. Those communities were Barnstable, Bourne, Bridgewater, Canton, Dedham, Duxbury, Easton, Fairhaven, Falmouth, Franklin, Mansfield, Marshfield, North Attleboro, Norwood, Plymouth, Stoughton, Walpole, and Wareham.
Any other discussion? Ready to vote? All those in favor on the article, please raise your hands. I didn't see you, sir. All those against? Motion passes at 10:47 a.m. We're going to skip Article 12, come back to it. Article 13, funding sewer and septic systems betterments. And our moderator is back after not getting our $110,000 raise.
Thank you. Funding sewer and septic betterments. Do I have a motion on this? Thank you. And a second. Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And Select Board recommendation.
Select Board recommends 5-0. And on that note, may I have one moment? The Select Board votes to move these articles to the town meeting. When we vote at our Select Board meeting about these articles, we are not voting whether or not we, as individual members of town meeting, will approve or vote against today. We are simply moving it so that you have an opportunity to vote. And we voted 5-0.
Thank you. And Mr. Carrero, would you like to summarize this article for us,
Sure.
please?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 13 funds the annual sewer and septic betterments. FY27 appropriation request is in the amount of $1,113,045 for sewer betterment revenue and $32,042 to cover the FY27 debt service, associated fees, Title V septic system, loans administered by the Board of Health.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 13? Right here, please. Could you raise your hand, please, so he knows who? Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Mark Yanni, Precinct 1. Just point of clarification, you said 1 million. Did you mean 113 million?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I misread. I wasn't looking at my packet clearly. Sorry about that.
I was like, wow. Any further discussion on Article 13?
First time you asked.
Okay. Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 13, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 13 passes at 10:49. Article 14 is funding solid waste enterprise fund. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 14 funds the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, and 1/2. The FY27 recommended budget is $2,465,407.
And I have a motion from Mrs. Brooks.
Motion made.
And a second. Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And Select Board recommendation.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Thank you. So I'm going to do the same thing actually on this warrant article, on Article 14, and I'm going to, I'm not going to do the same thing. Any discussion on Article 14? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 14, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 14 passes at 10:50. Article 15, funding Water Department Enterprise Fund. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 15 funds the Water Department Enterprise Fund pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, and 1/2. The FY27 recommended budget is $8,063,044.
And I have a motion from Mrs. Brooks.
Motion made.
And a second. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
Select Board recommendation.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 15? Are we ready to vote?
Oh, I think
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't see who I'm. Mr. Dabney.
Fred Dabney, Precinct 5. Just a question on our expenses for water that are been increasing dramatically, and we understand the reasons, but we also know that the pace of development in Dartmouth is growing. How do we expect to handle these increased demands unless we have a complete renovation of the water and sewage treatment plant?
Do you want to speak to that, or Mr. Bart? Yeah.
It's a great question. What you will see on in the near future is a sourcing study. That's something the Board of Public Works has been discussing. And so the town of Dartmouth historically has actually never produced enough water to cover all of its residents. We've always purchased water from the city of New Bedford. The level of that has varied over time. And so we want to come up with a plan so we can produce enough water to fully provide for our community. And so we'll be looking at a study in the near future to identify other sources to produce water, just for some of the development you talk about, but also to make sure we can handle it on our own and not have to outsource to other entities.
Question down front here, please. What, Mr. Gerard, could you hold so we can get your microphone so everyone can hear you, please?
Arthur Gerard, Precinct 2. We discussed about buying water from Fall River at a lot lower rate. We needed to put like a little pipeline in the last time we had discussion. I'd just like to get an update on that, please.
Mr. Haddad?
Yeah, so it's not as simple as putting in a pipe just between the extension. So there's been a design up to essentially the Dartmouth line, but it doesn't go over the bridge on Route 6. And so we would need to fund the design of the connection over the dam, I should say. Our Director of Public Works is working with the team over in Westport and has gotten those documents, and we're trying to get some cost estimates. And then we'll be pursuing grant funding to determine if it's feasible. The cost of the water in Fall River is a little bit cheaper than what we're paying in New Bedford. However, it's not significantly cheaper. So if the town is going to have to pay for that, it's a strategic decision we'll have to make. If it's worth putting up some money, if we're not going to get grant funds, what's the savings over time? And we also, like I said, need to identify how can we provide enough water within the town of Dartmouth for our community. So we are still working on it, and our Public Works team is working with Westport and the state to come up with a solution.
I have a question here, please. Follow up from Mr. Dabney.
Fred Dabney, Precinct 5 again. Just as a follow-up to your response on the future efforts to determine how much we need, if we have already got 3 40B housing developments in front of us, at what point does the town or the DPW have the authority to say, we can't handle this anymore, development's got to stop?
Do you have any insight into that? Mr. Haddad, excuse me.
Yes, so we have had preliminary discussions with our team of what that looks like. We're not there yet because although it may be expensive, we do have a means to provide water, right? So sewer is another story because we treat all of our waste in Dartmouth. We don't send that out. But if we were to pass a moratorium against all interconnections in the future, the state would look at things like, well, do you have another option for water before you say no to all future building? And the answer is yes, we do in the town of Dartmouth. And so it's not something that allows us to just say no, because although it's expensive, we do still have another option for water.
Any further discussion on this article? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 15, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 15 passes at 10:55. Article 16, funding Sewer Department Enterprise Fund. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 16 funds the Sewer Department Enterprise Fund pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, and 1/2. The FY27 recommended budget is $7,528,573.
Thank you. And Mrs. Brooks, you moving this?
Motion made.
And I have a second. Thank you. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And the
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 16? And I'll be right back to you, Mr. Borges. I see you.
Mr. Haddad, Madam Moderator, through you, Mr. Haddad, you referred to sewage treatment being a separate issue. Could you clarify that?
Mr. Haddad?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So yes, because we treat all of our own, all of our sewage, we don't send that out, right? Like we have the opportunity to purchase water from New Bedford. We don't have the opportunity to send our waste to another community for treatment. So the town of Dartmouth is, we've started the process of looking at our wastewater treatment plant. We've awarded a contract for a comprehensive wastewater management plan, which is essentially step one of that process. We also, likely in the fall, will be coming before town meeting to request authorization to borrow for an aeration project that will be kind of phase one of the construction of a updated wastewater treatment plant. And so we're certainly taking those things into account, and we are not yet at capacity at the wastewater treatment plant.
I see I have a bunch of questions. Do you still have a question, Mr. Borges?
Gil Borges, Precinct 4. I'd just like someone to explain to me what the difference is between a sewer fund and a solid waste fund. It seems to me like they're both the same thing. Are all these funds put in place just to confuse us?
I don't think it's meant
Why
to
not run it out of one fund?
I don't think it's meant to confuse you, but let me get you some answers to your questions.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Certainly not meant to confuse the residents of the town of Dartmouth. Solid waste is trash. So think of solid waste trash. A sewer is sewer, right? Well, no. It's different. These are also defined under Mass General Law, and so we have to keep them separate. They're separate operations. You heard me mention earlier that enterprise funds are self-sufficient, and so you pay fees to get rid of your trash. That goes into solid waste. And if you have sewer, you pay fees for that. They cannot be mixed because they have to be self-sufficient and separate. That's why they're separate funds.
Thank you. Did you wish to speak, Mr. Kerr? Mr. Tattlebaum, you're next, please. And I see you, Mrs. Miller.
Long-range planning we've been talking about, and I try to mention it at each and every town meeting and almost at all of our select board meetings. Long-range planning includes, as important as any other issue, how we find and clean our water and how we treat our sewer and water treatment. We have a obligation to, and of course, other issues like our schools, et cetera. We have a plan in place to keep moving forward, to keep these issues out in front of us like we've never had before. We have a handle on what to do and how to do it in a sequence of events, and as we're able to fund these and come up with projects that make sense for affordable long-range planning, that's what we're doing. Affordable housing is a giant issue which will affect that. Some of it we control, some of it we can't, but we're going to make sure that we include that in the process of how we do long-range planning and how we finance it, whether we borrow or what we do to try to get there. And I think that I want to make it perfectly clear that we have a handle on what we're doing with that. And you as town meeting members and our residents deserve to know that without long-range planning and how we finance it and how we do it in sequence of events, we're going to have giant issues, and I think that I just want to make sure I convey that message. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Miller on the aisle there, please.
Lori Ann Miller, Precinct 9. Being on the planning board, back on the planning board, we have a project that's come before us, and it's been extended because due to the expertise of the DPW, they are asking this subdivision, which is not a big subdivision, to produce a study that shows that we do have the capacity for the water and the sewer in that area to complete the development. So if they're going to tell us there's no sewer and water, I'm not sure the development can go forward. I'm almost positive it will. But they have the capacity, the expertise, when a subdivision comes before us that we have control of, not a 40B, but a subdivision that we have a control of, to make them do this study to make sure that the capacity is there.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? Mr. Dabney?
Fred Dabney, Precinct 5 again. Mr. Tattlebaum referred to the importance of long-range planning, and one of the pieces that he left out was land use planning. We've just recently finished a 10-year master plan, which supposedly lays out what the town intends to do for land use planning. And I'm not sure that any of that is ever looked at, and I wondered if there was any solution or planning for specific land use issues.
So I think it's an important question, but it's really beyond the scope of my warrant article here that's before us in terms of sewer department enterprise fund. So I'm gonna defer, and I'm sure that they can talk to you offline about that, and others may be interested as well. Thank you, Mr. Dabney. Are we ready to vote on this one? Okay. All in favor of Article 16, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 16 passes at 11:02. Article 17, funding Dartmouth Cable Television DCTV Enterprise Fund. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 17 funds the Cable Television DCTV Enterprise Fund pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53 and 1/2. The FY27 recommended budget is $620,468.
Thank you. And Mrs. Silver Brooks, would you like to make the motion? Thank you. And a second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And Select Board, I'm sorry.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 17? Are we ready to vote?
Nope. Question.
Would you like your question? Right here on the aisle. Could you please raise your hand? They don't know where they're coming. Yeah, thank you.
Susan Kramer, Precinct 5. Under FY26, $1,000 for other income, but for 27, $30,000. So I'm just wondering why.
Sure, great question. Mr. Haddad, do you want to answer that?
Yes, that is a great question. Essentially, what matters is the bottom line. So the bottom line appropriated last year was $627,945. In our review this year, we noticed that primarily investment income was up. The town has done a really nice job through Mr. Carrero of investing the town's funds wisely in CDs. Interest rates have been higher over the last couple of years, and so we have been able to get more in investments. So it's primarily due to investments and the higher interest rates that we're able to capitalize on.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this warrant article? Are we ready to vote? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 17 passes at 11:04. Article 18, funding Waterways Management Enterprise Fund. Mr. Carrero.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 18 funds the Waterways Management Enterprise Fund pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53 and 1/2. FY27 recommended budget is $445,639.
Thank you, Mrs. Silva. Thank you. Motion there and a second. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And the Select Board recommendation.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Great. Any discussion on Article 18? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 18, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 18 passes at 11:05. Article 19, appropriation for use of collective bargaining. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Articles 19 and 20 are directly tied to the budget. The Dartmouth Public Schools, we've worked diligently with Dartmouth Public Schools over the last year to try to adequately fund their request. Through the general tax levy, we were able to appropriate 4.5%, which you'll see in the Article 12 budget. Unfortunately, there was a need for a total of 5% in the Dartmouth Public Schools budget this year. That 0.5% is being made up of Articles 19 and 20. So Article 19 is $100,000 from the Collective Bargaining Stabilization Fund, and it's directly tied to the cost of bargaining for the 7 unions that the school department has to help. So this was already accounted for when you vote on the budget. These 2 articles need to pass in order to fully fund the budget for the Dartmouth Public Schools.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 19? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 19, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 19 passes at 11:06. Article 20, appropriation for use of full-day kindergarten stabilization fund. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. As I previously mentioned, this is to help fund the Dartmouth Public Schools operating budget. It's in the amount of $178,309 from the full-day kindergarten stabilization fund. That fund was created a number of years ago to help offset the cost of full-day kindergarten in the future if that ever became something that the town was not able to fund. So we are requesting that this be appropriated from that stabilization fund to help with the cost of full-day kindergarten in this year's operating budget.
And Mrs. Brooks, I have a motion from you.
Motion made.
And a second. Finance Committee recommendation?
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And Select Board recommendation?
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 20? Are we ready to vote? Do you have a question? I'm sorry.
Andrea.
No, Mrs. Langhauser. Do you have a question? Yes. So can I have a...
Andrea Langhauser, Precinct 7. I just wanted to make a comment. I wanted to thank the different boards for working together and our finance director, town administrator for being so creative in finding other sources of money.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Article 20? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of Article 20, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 20 passes at 11:08. Article 21, Personnel Bylaw Amendment, Position, Title, and Compensation Changes. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 21 is an amendment to the town's personnel bylaw. I previously mentioned most of our employees are made up of either collective bargaining agreements, so they belong to a union, or they have individual employment contracts. We do have a number of employees that are seasonal in nature or are not eligible to be part of a union because they may be confidential in nature, for instance. So that those positions, the pay scales are set in the personnel bylaw. We did the compensation classification study. We're just looking to update the pay ranges for each of the positions listed in the warrant.
Thank you. Mrs. Brooks?
Motion made.
And a second. Finance Committee?
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
Select Board?
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 21? Are we ready? Do you have a question? Yep.
Hi, Erica Correa, Precinct 5. Can someone explain the COA receptionist position? What, I guess, prerequisites one would need to warrant $27.44 an hour?
So, Mr. Haddad, can you talk about the COA receptionist position and the increase?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where the position got graded by the compensation and classification study. So they looked at things like education, experience, interactions with the public, overall accountability. Each of those got given a numerical value, a grade, and then they were added up, and essentially positions that had, a value of X were a grade 1, value of, whatever that other number is, were grade 2. So it's something that the independent consultant did, and so this is the range for our positions. You'll notice the range is typically about a 30% minimum to maximum. That's industry standard across the public sector. So this is how they graded that position.
And in the back there, please.
Joan Menard, Precinct 9. I just want to speak about the COA receptionist who's currently in that role. She is excellent, and she manages a lot of things and a lot of people and takes initiative and deserves whatever we can give her.
Any further discussion on Article 21? Are we ready to vote? I'm sorry.
Robert Holmes, Precinct 3. When you say you hired an independent company to come in and regrade everything, they're still paid by the town, by you guys. You hire them to come in and do this, correct?
Mr. Haddad, did the town contracted with an independent consultant? Is that how it worked?
We did. Per Mass General Law, we followed the public procurement requirements, so we solicited a request for proposals. We had a number of respondents, and then the most responsive consultant was selected to complete the project.
Yes. Do you have a follow-up question?
Use that, you get to see their past decisions. They've been hired by other towns and stuff. You get to see which way they make their decisions when you hire them. Is that correct?
So all the questions come through me, please?
I'm sorry.
So that's okay. So you want to know if they
In
get
other
to
words, when
review
you
their
hire,
qualifications?
Do you other towns they've worked for and made decisions, if they've been heavily on what a certain town wants, you may pick that guy. Is that the case?
So
or am
I believe there's a procurement process that Mr. Haddad could better describe for us. Can you talk about that? How you look at their qualifications and review them through the state's required procurement process?
Absolutely. So for any procurement that the town does under Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, we issue either a request for proposals or request for qualifications. We set out an evaluation criteria so the respondents know exactly what they're going to be evaluated on. And so things like prior experience with Massachusetts municipalities could certainly be one of those criteria. Prior references, right? We want to make sure that we're working with qualified companies that have done high quality work for other municipalities. So yeah, those are all things that go into account during the procurement process.
Do you have a follow-up question, sir?
Then choose that person or company. It's might be because you like how they ruled in certain other towns of what you're trying to do, and more likely that person will probably agree with you.
So I think that the criteria is beyond, I think what Mr. Haddad has described as a criteria that goes beyond merely finding out what they did in other towns. It's a public process as I understand it, and it's governed in part by the state of Massachusetts. Thank you. Anything else on Article 21? In front, please.
Arthur Gerard, Precinct 2. I understand that this, correct me if I'm wrong, the Select Board makes the final decision on hiring outside agencies.
The consultant. So
It's
can
not,
you,
it's not him.
no, I don't believe Mr. Haddad has that kind of authority, but Mr. Haddad, could you tell us when you get the request for proposals, what the next step is and how that process gets completed, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So under Mass General Law, the Chief Procurement Officer of a municipality is the only one that can award contracts. I physically was not the one to award this contract. It was awarded prior to my arrival here, so I did not award this contract. But the Chief Procurement Officer of the town at the time did award the contract. There was a committee made up of several members of the team. I believe it included a Select Board member, and they evaluated the responses and then awarded a contract.
Thank you. In the back, please.
Sugaducci, Precinct 9. I have a question regarding a clarification. Listed is the DPW bridge tender, and the range of compensation is from $15 an hour to $17 an hour. And I'm not trying to disparage anything about what the responsibilities are for receptionists, but if that bridge tender is actually responsible for the opening and closing of the bridge, it just doesn't compute for me.
So my understanding would be that the bridge tender, I'm trying to find it here, but the bridge tender went through the same process. They all went through the same process, and this outside company presented a range?
Yes, that's absolutely true. As part of this process, we also made sure to speak with department heads. So this was run by our Director of Public Works for things like this. You know, a consultant does a nice job looking at comparable communities, but there's some things that, you know, our team here in Dartmouth knows about Dartmouth more than someone coming in from the outside. And so if there were things that really stuck out, our team made sure to mention it. This was something that the DPW director and the team over there looked at, reviewed, and seemed like it made sense.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Down in front, please. So you want to move the question? I have a motion to move the question here on the floor. Okay. All in favor of moving the question? Opposed? Great. Let's get to voting on the main motion before us. All in favor of Article 21, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 21 passes at 11:16. Article 22, General Bylaw Amendment, Chapter 134, Section 15, Dog Hearing Officer. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This article would amend Chapter 134, Section 15, 2A and 16A. Essentially, what this would do is right now, the only individual who can be a dog hearing officer is a member of the Dartmouth Police Department. In conjunction with the police chief, there was concerns over if the Dartmouth Police Department were ever conflicted out for one reason or another. Technically, our bylaw does not allow for another individual to be appointed as a hearing officer, so the proposed language would just allow the select board to appoint someone other than a Dartmouth police officer to serve in this capacity if needed.
Thank you. And Mrs. Brooks, you're making that motion?
Motion made.
And a second? Thank you. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend.
And Select Board.
Select Board voted 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 22? Are we ready to vote? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 22 passes at 11:17. Article 23, General Bylaw Amendment, Chapter 315, Section 6, Snow to be removed from sidewalks. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Article 23 essentially rewrites the snow to be removed from sidewalks bylaw. That bylaw was initially written in 1947, and so particularly after the snowstorms we received this year, our team, really looked at this and thought it would be good to update. A number of items that will be updated if this passes is right now, if the storm ends, you have 4 hours after the end of the storm to get your sidewalk cleared in front of your house. We recognize people work, people are busy during the day, so it's not fair if a storm ends at 10 a.m. to say you need to have your sidewalk cleared by 2 p.m. You may be at work until 5 p.m. So this allows for up to 24 hours after the end of the storm, or if we really have a large storm and we declare a snow emergency like we did with the recent blizzard, you would have 24 hours from the end of the snow emergency to clear your sidewalk. So that's really one of the first changes. The second is we differentiate the fines. If you're 1 mile from a school and in a commercial, commercial corridor. So right now the fine is $25. If you are within 1 mile of a school in a commercial corridor, it is increased to $300. The reason for that is really public safety. We need those sidewalks across town to be cleared, but we really need them where pedestrians are walking more often, children are walking to school to get cleared. And so this was a recommendation of the police department and allows us to enforce that. And it also allows for each hour of the violation to be constituted as a separate finable offense.
Thank you. And Mrs. Silva Brooks.
Motion made.
I'm gonna,
It's all right.
I'll get your married name at some point. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee recommends 6-0-1.
And Select Board.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 23? We have a lot of discussion. Let me go right here, and then I'll go over to there.
Sandra Zekin, Precinct 7. I live within a mile of the high school, and when the new high school, 20 years ago, was built, they actually put a sidewalk from the school the whole way up Tucker, past Farm Lane, I think up to Emerald. That is never cleared. And clearly that was done because supposedly kids would be walking to school. How does that not get cleared by the town?
So, Mr. Haddad, that section of road, I'm assuming there's a landowner maybe that is not clearing it currently, and so this would help to enforce that? But you can speak to it better than I can.
Yeah, it's the responsibility of whoever owns the property to make sure that the sidewalk is cleared. And so this essentially is the enforcement aspect of that. So if it's not getting cleared, that's something we need to make sure that we're enforcing.
Thank you. Over here, please.
Brandon and Wallaca, District 1. Is there an accountability for the cost? $300 is a lot of a fee for an individual for violating, and I imagine some older folks or people with disabilities or whatever may have a difficult time shoveling out. So is there a hardship waiver or something that you can apply for or request for, delay on the enforcement for some particular reason?
Sure, Mr. Haddad, would you like to speak to that?
No, there's no waiver or delay, and this is something we seriously discussed and thought about, but we also viewed it as it only takes one time for a child to walk out into the street and get hit by a car, and so we really, we're cognizant of that, but the big thing here is public safety and compliance. So there's also discretion, right, as with anything. The police department would look to enforce this along with Public Works. So there is some discretion involved with the enforcement, as always.
Thank you. In the back there, please.
Mark Robidoux, Precinct 5. If you're going to be charged, it says here, each hour of continued violation is going to constitute a separable offense. I mean, a $300 violation for 24 hours is going to cost you $7,200. I mean, I think that's a little excessive. I mean, I would say each 24 hours, but not each hour. I think that's rather excessive. It's $7,200 a day for not shoveling a sidewalk.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Over here.
I would actually like to make an amendment to delete number 2.
Who is he?
Amendment to delete number 2. So I'm going to need it in writing, so we can get you some paper, perhaps. But because it's fairly simple, I think I can keep track of it. So I have an amendment before us and a second to delete number 2, which is each hour of a continuing violation shall constitute a separate finable offense. Do we have any discussion on the motion before us? Mr. Savastan, it looks like you might like to say something.
Yeah, my only concern is if it's not going to be hourly, it should state daily if you want to amend it rather than delete it, because then it would be unclear.
So amend to remove?
I said, number 2 says, each hour of continuing violation shall constitute a separate finable offense. If you want to not make each hour a separate finable offense, I would recommend then you say each day so that you could ticket more than once. If you think each hour is too much, then you could make it a different interval, but not deleting it, because they could just not ever shovel and leave it there for days or weeks if we have a storm like we had this winter.
So what I'm understanding you to say is by deleting it completely, it prevents enforceability of the bylaw. Is that what I'm hearing?
You can enforce it once. It will be unclear if you could enforce it each day. So when we draft these, we always put some interval.
So some time period as an amendment. The gentleman that made the amendment or the motion to delete, can you tell me what your
It would be a motion to amend. The proper motion is a motion to amend by deleting section 2.
Yes.
That motion to amend can be amended again.
Okay, so let me.
If somebody else wants to amend it.
So let me ask this gentleman to, could you please repeat your motion to amend?
Sure, Peter Knowlton, District 6. My motion was just to delete number 2, to amend Article 24 by deleting number 2.
Okay, so he would like to amend to delete. I had a second somewhere, as I understand it. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend to delete? The gentleman here. You have a microphone.
Patrick Saunders, Precinct 6. I just think that if we don't put an interval, it won't be enforceable. I think that an hour is maybe a bit too much, but I think if we did set, like, say, a 24-hour, we could, keep finding if need be. So I think that there does need to be some sort of interval set.
Mr. Souza.
Yes. The reason why this was put forth was for public safety and protect the lives of pedestrians, which you can't put a price on, whether it's a child, an elder, or an adult. $25, in my opinion, when you take a look at the habitual problems that we see out there in town, for example, in front of our commercial districts, to a large commercial facility, $25 a day is nothing. The sidewalk will remain full of snow. What's important here, and I asked this question, as the Finance Committee and Cody referred, there is the discretion from the enforcers, the police department. You know, the police department isn't made up of much evil people. They go out to the community, and if there's an issue with an elder or some extenuating circumstances, I have full confidence that our police department will do the right thing. It's important, I think, to have some fines that are impactful and will make people respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Over here.
Joan Menard, Precinct 9. If the police don't, want to waive the fine for someone, do they have to report any waivers that they make? Is there any accountability for?
So the question I'm hearing you ask is, if they waive a fine, do they have to report that to anyone?
Yeah, because I can see waiving it for, an elderly person, but if they waived it for some reason, like it was their good friend or something, then we want that to be accountable.
My understanding is that they don't catalog that, but
Yeah, no, they wouldn't be waiving it. They just wouldn't be issuing tickets, is what would happen.
so it's a ticketing process.
They would see a violation, but then they wouldn't
Issue a ticket, and
issue
they
a
would work,
ticket.
I'm assuming, work on some way to fix the problem without issuing a ticket.
And tickets are always appealable.
Right. Fair point. In the back there, please. In the back row, please.
Just to follow up on that amendment, would the gentleman be willing to change his amendment to a 24-hour period rather than delete it altogether?
So what I'd really like to do is I would like to vote on this amendment and see if it passes or fails, and then I would accept another amendment if somebody else wanted to make something like a 24-hour amendment.
Can I make that amendment at the end, after the vote?
I'll recognize you after the vote if this amendment fails. Mr. Sut, did you want to?
No, just to make it clear, if you're going to delete Section 2, then you also need to renumber Section 3 to read number 2. Otherwise, you'll have a Section 1 and 3. So there needs to be, if you're going to vote on this amendment, this proposed motion to delete Section 2, it needs to be further amended to read and to change number 3 to number 2.
Why?
Because otherwise you have
So, they go in order.
That's what I would do if I was drafting it as a bylaw.
I understand. Any discussion on this amendment that's before me? So I'm going to go right here. Who's raising their hand? I'll get back to you, Mr. Silva.
Chris Ross, Precinct 9. I'd like to make a motion to indefinitely table this amendment so that a substitute amendment could be proposed.
So I have a motion to my, so I'd like to indefinitely postpone, indefinitely table, same thing, right? So I have a motion to indefinitely postpone this before me. Any discussion on indefinite postponement? You want to talk about indefinite postponement only? So I've got in priority, I believe I need to take this one next. Because he's asking for indefinite postponement on this article. You're right, we could just vote it down.
Postpone on the amendment.
Right,
You
you're
can't
right.
do that.
We can't
believe you
definitely,
can do
okay. So let's vote, how about this? Can we vote up or down this amendment? Because I think that would be procedurally the cleanest way for me to do this. Do you want to talk about this amendment right now, or can I vote up and down, and then we're going to have another amendment in front of us, and you could talk then? I'll negotiate with you, Mr. Silva.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I appreciate you. All right. All in favor of the amendment before us, which is to delete Section 2, and we'd have a 1 and a 3, and it would be difficult to enforce. All in favor of the amendment before us, could you indicate by raising your hand? If you're opposed to the amendment before us, can you raise your hand? Okay. Could you please give a microphone to the gentleman in the back who I believe wants to offer another amendment that he's going to put in writing for me soon?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd just like to make an amendment to change it to 24-hour period rather than a 1-hour period.
So number 2, as I understand it, would read, each 24-hour period of continuing violation shall constitute a separate finable offense.
Yes.
And will you write that out for me, please?
Sure.
I appreciate that. Do we have a second on that amendment? Okay, Mr. Silva, do you want to talk about this amendment?
I do, yes. So as it was explained to us, the idea is not necessarily to impose the fine. The idea is to get compliance, to have clear sidewalks, right, for public safety, right? We all saw it during the blizzard, people walking down the middle of Route 6, right, to get from Walmart to wherever they were going, right? It was an incredibly unsafe situation. I'm in favor of this bylaw as written because it allows us the ability, if people are not compliant with the bylaw, to go in and do it ourselves to maintain public safety and not take a financial hit because of that, right? What I would like to see is for companies like Walmart or Target or all up and down the Route 6 corridor to clean their sidewalks so that people can get to and from where they need to go safely. And likewise, around school buildings, we want our children to be able to get to school safely if they're walking or getting dropped off or whatnot. I think it's important that we keep the teeth in it to enable us to do the work ourselves if necessary, but ultimately go with encourage compliance to the bylaw of removing our snow from our sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Savastato.
Yeah, so let me talk about the fines for a minute, because I deal with department heads a lot on enforcement. And I can tell you, every department I deal with usually will first go out and say, hey, could you please address this? And then when they refuse to address it, we issue orders. And if they continue to refuse, we issue tickets. Sometimes we use the fines, and we want lots of fines, because what happens is we go to district court on fines and we go to Superior Court for injunctive relief. If we have to go to Superior Court for injunctive relief, ordering somebody to comply, if they're a bad actor, then it costs the town significant legal fees. So we have used the fines in the past, very rarely, but only in the instance of bad actors, where they pile up so it becomes cost effective for them to comply rather than fight us in Superior Court. So the statutes are a little bit complicated in that we have to go to 2 different forums, one to collect fines and one to get a court to order them to action. So I've never dealt with a department head who excessively fines somebody just for the sake of fining them. We only save those, and I could not imagine working with the DPW finding somebody hourly who is elderly or otherwise is a good citizen and just has a single incident. We would reserve those typically for a situation where somebody's a bad actor, or say Walmart, what's $300 to Walmart, right? You need to make it pile up to make it effective. And that was the reasoning behind each hourly violation.
I see you, but this young lady hasn't spoken, so could I please have a microphone here?
Thank you for calling me young. Hi, Nicole Boutwell, Precinct 7. My question is it possible to bifurcate the allocation of fines between commercial and private property? Meaning we could keep the number 2 as written for commercial property, but allow for personal property to be fined at the 24-hour rate.
So there's probably not a problem with it legally, but we would need an amendment, and I need to deal with this amendment first. So if you'd like to write an amendment, we can do that, but I need to get a vote on this amendment before I amend the amendment. Okay. Are we ready to, it looks like you're interested in offering that amendment. Is that right? Okay. So do we want to vote on this amendment? Okay. All in favor of the amendment before us, which replaces number 2 as written in the warrant with each 24 hours of a continuing violation shall constitute a separate finable offense. That's what we're voting on right now. And I understand there's going to be another amendment offered that's going to bifurcate this between business and personal private residence. Okay. So all in favor of the amendment before us, which is the 24-hour period, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. I think that fails at 11:35. But I think I have another motion to amend that's coming up. I'm going to just try and fill the airtime for a minute while it's being written. Yes, I have a question here.
Gil Borges, Precinct 4. $300, I keep hearing Walmart, like Walmart's the only thing that, I happen to live in that area, and Walmart actually cleaned their sidewalks. But there's a lot of houses between Walmart and the school, and there's a lot of houses between, along Cross Road, which I walk all the time. Now, $300 that's a crazy amount to go from 25 to 300. Let's forget that Walmart. There's also mom and pop businesses. There's no difference differentiating them from Walmart. $300 to them is a lot of money. To Walmart, yeah, it's a drop in the bucket. But Walmart generally, and companies like Walmart, do clean their snow. Target and all that. Like I said, I walk that area. It's a lot of the smaller or residential businesses. Now, a lot of the sidewalks there are also grass. They're not asphalt. Do they have to shovel the grass?
Let's see if we
And
can
who's going to enforce this? I drive by, when we had the big snowstorms, I drive up and down Route 6 all the time. I couldn't tell you if something's been shoveled or not shoveled on the sidewalk, going 30 miles an hour. Are the cops going to be walking the town to see which sidewalks are shoveled?
I'm guessing they're probably going to respond to complaints, but I don't know if someone wants to address that. Mr. Carrero, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I think to the speaker's point, and maybe to some of the residents here, that, again, I think we want to reiterate that we're working with departments that are going to be enforcing this. It's not to be out there, this is going to be, obviously, the blizzard that we had was a record storm, and it led to a lot of that. If you're driving down Route 6, you'll see that some of those areas are shoveled, some of them are not. Some of those people are walking on the road, which is very dangerous. There's been a couple of deaths on that highway, and there wasn't even snow. So I think that if we look at maybe a mediation between working with those departments, I think that if there's an amendment to change it to the last amendment that we had, we will, as Attorney Savastano said, work with the departments to do that. Absolutely.
Mr. Silva, you had a follow-up?
Nathan Silva, Precinct 6. And you're right, Mr. Borges. I just used Walmart as an example. But you're right, there's other mom and pop businesses. But it's important to keep in mind that the way to avoid the fine is to shovel the sidewalk. I get out in a snowstorm and I shovel my sidewalk. So the only way this fine gets implemented is if someone has not shoveled their sidewalk, whether a mom and pop business, Walmart, Target, or my personal house. If I shovel my sidewalk, I don't get fined. So I think that's important to recognize here.
Did you have something? Yeah. So could you give her the microphone as well, and you can just offer the amendment as you've written it so that we understand what it is?
Hi, sure. Nicole Boutwell, Precinct 7. I have proposal to amend Section 2 to read, each hour of continuing violation of commercial property shall constitute a separate finable offense. Each 24-hour period of continuing violation of residential property shall constitute a separate finable offense.
Okay. What is that changing our dollar amount?
I honestly don't know what the Attorney General would say to that. I have not a chance to review that because it wasn't proposed. So I currently don't see a problem with it, but the Attorney General reviews our bylaws that they will let us know if they have a problem with fining commercial and residential separately.
Okay. So on this amendment?
Tom Hodgson, Precinct 2. Just a question on whether or not any consideration's been given in the case where someone has gone out and shoveled their walk in front of their home, and DPW doing their job comes along and happens to fill the sidewalk again. How do you mitigate that?
Yeah. Any thoughts about that? Gonna probably go reshovel, right?
Yeah,
I
think
think they can't control the snow.
Yeah, it goes back to discretion. But at the end of the day, we need the sidewalks clear for pedestrian safety. But I think there's discretion, and if the plows do that, and enforcement comes by, there'll be some discretion in giving people some time to get the sidewalks cleared again.
sir. Do you have a follow-up? 1 second.
Quick follow-up. So, having been a former police officer, I understand that, they're out there doing everything they can to keep everybody safe, but the question that becomes, using the discretion, what kind of burden does that put on the officers? How does that all get straightened out? Because they're going to be obviously out there and try to keep everybody safe, but that's just a question. I'm not sure that's been mitigated, but if it has, great.
Okay. Mr. Savastano?
I'm also concerned about the amendment because we do have mixed-use properties. We also have an industrial district, which is not technically commercial, it's industrial. I guess you would consider it commercial, but I have not had a chance to think this through and look at it, but because of the mixed-use property issue, I am concerned about the amendment.
Okay. Down in front, we have a question, and I'll get to you, Nicole. Carrie, I mean.
Hi, Cade and Lisa, Precinct 7. Can we please move to vote on this amendment?
So we have a motion to move the amendment forward. Are we ready to vote on the amendment? All in favor of moving the amendment, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Okay. On the amendment before us, if you are in favor of the amendment before us, which reads, proposal to amend Section 2 to read, each hour of continuing violation of commercial property shall constitute a separate finable offense. Each 24-hour period of continuing violation of a residential property shall constitute a separate finable offense. If you are in favor of this, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. It looks like that passed. Let's do a telecount. I know you love a telecount, but I couldn't really call it comfortably. I didn't, actually. So what you're voting on is the amendment to Article 23? Sure, I absolutely can read it again. The amendment to Article 23 is each hour of, it amends Section 2, it amends number 2, and it would read, each hour of continuing violation of commercial property shall constitute a separate finable offense. Each 24-hour period of continuing violation of residential property shall constitute a separate finable offense. And we're going to, so only on my reading, because we're voting. Okay, yes. Tell me your question before I start our vote. There is no dollar amount, but I can only tell you what I've read. I can't offer the amendments. All right. So in the left-hand section over here, if you are in favor of the amendment, please indicate by raising your hand, and please keep your hand up in this section until I ask you to stop because the tellers need to count it. Thank you. Please keep your hand up if you're in favor in that section, please. Or raise your card, giving them some indication. Okay, thank you for that section. In the center section here, could you raise your hand if you are in favor of the amendment? And keep it up so at least wonderful tellers can do their thing. Okay, thank you. In the center section. In this section over here, if you're in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand. Thank you. You can put your hand down here. Anybody on stage in favor of the amendment, please indicate by raising your hand so our tellers can count that. Okay, so our tellers are going to start in the section again. Thank you. If you are opposed, if you are sitting in the far section over here, to your right and my left, and you are opposed to this amendment, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. If you're in that section, you may put your hand down. If you're in the center section and you're opposed to the amendment before us, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. You can put your hand down if you're in the center section. If you're on this section here, my right, your left, please indicate if you are opposed to this amendment. Sorry. If you're opposed to this amendment, please raise your hand. Thank you. You may put your hand down over here. On stage, if you are opposed to the amendment, please raise your hand. And you're a town meeting member. The amendment passes at 11:49. So now on back to the main motion as amended. If I can write down 11:49. 1 second, please. So here we go on the main motion. Right here on the right there. Close though. Mr. Baker-Smith.
Hi, Buddy Baker-Smith, Precinct 8. I would like to offer an amendment.
Okay.
It's only because I've been listening. So I certainly understand the importance of enforcement and how a policy needs to have some teeth to it. I also hear how sometimes there are circumstances that need to be taken into consideration. And I also hear, is that really the burden to put on a police officer to make that discretion? So I offer this amendment. to amend Article 23 to add Section 4. The superintendent of public works and any designee may waive all or in part said fines. And that would allow someone to go and have their consideration of their circumstances, not the officer, who will still use discretion, I'm sure. That's my amendment.
Thank you. May I get a copy of it? And Mr. Savastano, did you want to?
Yeah, I'm concerned about that only because there's a statutory appeal procedure, and I don't know that we have the authority to amend that statutory appeal procedure. Again, this is all on the fly. I'm already concerned that the Attorney General's office is going to shoot it down because of the bifurcation of the fines and the concerns about the mixed properties and other uses, educational, industrial, that are not addressed in the bifurcation. I'm very concerned. Again, this is on the fly, so if I had time to think about it, I could have researched it, that you're creating a whole new quote-unquote appeal procedure which would conflict with the statutory appeal procedure of these tickets.
Mrs. Lynn's on the aisle, please. She hasn't spoken today. On the amendment, please.
Jill Lenz, Precinct 9. What happens if the Attorney General comes back and says, this is no good?
Great question. Mr. Savastano.
If they don't approve the bylaw, then the bylaw does not become effective.
So it doesn't become effective, and then we would have, a bylaw change would have to be proposed at some other time if you wanted this process to take place. Okay. The gentleman here who I haven't heard from today.
Could I just add to that? So the Attorney General typically has 90 days to review our bylaws once they're submitted. Oftentimes they ask for an additional time. We give that to them because they are very cooperative in working with us on issues. So it might not, sometimes it could be 6 months before they review our bylaw.
Chester Tam, Precinct 6. Can we maybe have a motion to postpone? Clearly we have a lot to discuss, and we're not getting any snow in the summer, so I don't think that we have an issue with that waiting.
So it's going to have to go in kind of two spots. I've got an amendment. Well, that's a great question. You moved it. Did I get a second on this amendment? Second on this amendment. So we got to vote on the amendment for indefinite postponement, and then if you want to go back to the main motion and take an indefinite postponement on that as well, I can do that. Let's start with this amendment, though, okay? Because we're getting layers here. So all in favor of further amending the warrant article before us to read to add a number 4. So amend Article 23 to add Section 4. The superintendent of public works and any designee may waive said fines, all or in part. That's what's before us on the amendment. So I have a motion to indefinitely postpone on the amendment before me. I don't really want to discuss the amendment, but if you all, the indefinite postponement, but if you really want to discuss indefinite postponement, I am here at your disposal, getting paid 0, as you voted me. Okay, are we ready to vote on indefinite postponement? Okay, all in favor of indefinite postponement? Thank you. Opposed to indefinite postponement? Okay. Indefinite postponement passes. Now we're back on the main article before us. So if you want to indefinitely postpone on the main article before us, somebody should raise their hand to do that. In the back, Mr. Robidoux.
I'd like to move a motion to indefinitely postpone this to...
Okay, so I have a second. Okay, do we want to discuss that? Great.
I'd like to.
You do? Oh my gosh, okay.
I'd like to. My question is, the Attorney General's office will only review this if we submit the article to them, passed at town meeting. However it's written, we'll only review it then. If we postpone it, we will not have an interpretation by the Attorney General. They will not act on it, look at it, if it is a possible in the future. Only if it's something that our town meeting has acted on.
So we have a motion. We have an article before us that's already been amended once. I don't want to speak for town meeting. if I were speaking for town meeting, I'd say they want you to go back and rework it, but I don't want to speak for town meeting. So, I take your comment. There's someone over here who would like to speak.
Amy Dubois, Precinct 8. I am not a lawyer, but I do have Google, and I did look it up, and it said that Massachusetts law 40A, towns can absolutely enact bifurcated fine structures that penalize commercial business zoning violations more harshly than residential ones.
48 is a zoning statute, so that would be a zoning bylaw. We're talking about a general bylaw.
That's why I'm not a lawyer.
Never use Google for legal advice, trust me.
All right. So what I have before me is a motion for indefinite postponement on the main article. Are we ready to vote on that? Thank you. All in favor of indefinite postponement, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. The motion for indefinite postponement passes on Article 23 at 11:57. Okay. Article 24, establishment of cryptocurrency ATM bylaw. And I believe that would be Chief Levesque. Come on down. Chief Levesque.
Brian Levesque, Chief of Police. So the cryptocurrency ATMs, if you're not aware what they are, they basically take your cash, convert it into cryptocurrency, and allow you to send it to someone else. They are at many stores around town. They're located in different locations. The FBI informed me that these were predominantly being used for fraud, to commit scams against people, trick them into putting their money into this machine, and once you do that, it's nearly unrecoverable. You're not going to get your money back. FBI stats from 2025 show an increase up to $333 million has been stolen from Americans using this method, and that's up from $250 million in 2024. They're seeing major increases. Last year alone, 12,000 complaints they received. A lot of times it's underreported too, because if you're scammed out of your money, you're probably embarrassed about that, and you may not want to report that to anyone. We did have a report in town, so it is happening here, $35,000. So these aren't small sums of money we're talking about. That could be someone's entire life savings that gets taken from them. We're not able to recover it in most cases, unfortunately. The median age of victims, 71 years old. So they're targeting older people purposely. They scare you into doing things. They've told people that their money is the bank's not safe, and you need to put it in this machine to secure it essentially, and then it's gone forever. What we're trying to do here with getting rid of these machines essentially is being supported by the AARP of Massachusetts and also the Mass Bankers Association. They're aware of what these machines are actually being used for, and they support getting rid of them. In February, the Mass Attorney General did file a lawsuit against Bitcoin Depot, which is one of the operators of these machines, saying they were facilitating scams and it cost residents more than $10 million, and that's right here in Massachusetts. So I just wanted to share that information with you so you could help.
Yes. And a second. Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
And the
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 24? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of 24, please raise your hand. Opposed to Article 24, please raise your hand. Article 24 passes at 12 o'clock. Article 25, acceptance of general bylaws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 22G, expanding veterans exemptions. Jessica Pacheco, please.
Hi, I'm Jessica Pacheco, Acting Administrator of Assessing. The purpose of this clause is to expand eligibility for certain veterans by recognizing property ownership held in a trust. As it stands now, a veteran, their property, if it's in a trust, they need to either be the trustee of the trust or a beneficiary of the trust. So what this clause 22G does is it eliminates that portion of it, and the property has to be the veteran's domicile.
Thank you. Mrs. Brooks, moving
We'll
this
move
forward?
this forward.
And a second. Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee recommends 7-0.
Select Board.
Select Board recommends 5-0.
Any discussion on Article 25? We ready to vote? All in favor of Article 25, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 25 passes at 12:02. Article 26. Citizens petition, Allen Street Sewer Extension. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just as a point of clarification on Article 26, the citizens petition, there's two ways to go about sewer extensions within the town of Dartmouth. If individual residents want to get together and have sewer extended, they need to petition the select board. The select board would then send out essentially a ballot to those, anyone impacted. It would need to pass by 2/3, and then the select board would recommend it for funding at town meeting through the betterment process, which I'm sure many of you have paid in the past. The other option is the resident or residents have the opportunity to privately fund the sewer extension, neither of which is being proposed here. Effectively, if this passes, it doesn't do anything. Nothing will change. We have notified the proponents of this, and they are planning to follow the proper avenue.
So I don't know if I have a motion on this. It could die for lack of a motion.
Motion.
Motion. Do I have a second?
To withdraw.
I'm sorry?
Motion to withdraw.
It would be an indefinite postponement, probably, because I'm not sure. I believe the
Yeah, it's not your article, so you can't withdraw it.
the petitioner would need to
So
withdraw it,
if you want to kill it, just a motion to indefinitely postpone.
or we could vote it down, or we could just not get it motion.
All right,
moved and
we will let the
seconded.
pleasure of town meeting.
Okay. If I have a second, we can vote on it. I'll second it. Okay. Finance Committee recommendation
The Finance Committee voted unanimously to not recommend this article.
and Select Board.
We recommended as well not to recommend 5-0.
Okay. All in favor of Article 26, raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Great. Article 26 fails at 12:04. Article 27, Citizens Petition, Former Police Station Reuse Committee. And that was going to be Town Council. I'm supposed to be recognized on that.
So first, there were two repetitive articles. I was under the understanding that the petitioners would be withdrawing this article, apparently not. I opined that the article would not be legal, would have no effect. Pursuant to the statute, the Chief Procurement Officer has authority and control over procurement. The Chief Procurement Officer is appointed pursuant to Town Charter. In addition, Town Meeting cannot usurp the powers of Select Board. The Select Board, not Town Meeting, has control over the building. Any committee appointed by Town Meeting can only advise Town Meeting, and the Town Moderator would have the control of the appointment to such committees. So there's several deficiencies with this warrant article.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second? Okay. Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee voted unanimously to not recommend this article.
And the Select Board?
Select Board also voted unanimously not to recommend.
Any discussion on this one? Are we ready to vote? I'm sorry, Ms. Guiducci, I didn't see your hand.
My first question is, was the spokesperson, Michael Gagne, notified in regard to both of these, the denial of both of these articles?
Well, when you say denial, I think it was just advice of counsel that they were not...
They were not legal?
Legal.
Okay.
I don't know if the petitioner was... Yes? My understanding is the petitioner was notified, yes.
Well, I'm just going to make a comment. There are a number of residents that had worked on discussing and looking into options for the repurposing of the old police station. We asked 2 years ago that a committee be established for that purpose, and so far a committee has not been identified or moved forward from the select board. I also understood that Michael was had sent a communication to town on April 29th, and there was no response made as far as the petition was concerned. And I don't understand about the lack of transparency. You have willing people from town who are interested in doing something other than looking at that building stand idle and looking for an excuse for demolition by neglect.
So Mrs.
Silverbrooks,
Brooks,
yes. Just to let you know that at the select board meeting of May 11th, we did establish a committee to look at reuse of the former police station, and that was publicized for individuals to send us their interest in being on that committee. It is the Hail Mary pass, as it were, because we have had previous study committees, but we are taking it up once again to look at what can be done with that property.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Article 27? On the aisle here, please. I'll get back to you, Ms. Guiducci. Nope, this gentleman right here. Nope, Mr. Mickelson. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Stanley Mickelson, Precinct 5. Just, there are not a lot of new faces here. And just to let you know that this body voted years ago to demolish the building. It was voted in favor to demolish, and it was funded to demolish. The building is old. We're spending money needlessly year after year for a sick building that is never, ever, ever going to be repurposed. We don't need that building anymore. Thank you.
Did you wish to speak, Mr. Gentleman on the aisle here? Yep.
Yeah, Precinct 3, Robert Holmes. That's what I was trying. He said exactly what I was going to say. It was passed. Money was allocated to take it down. We should be listening to the will of the people of the town of Dartmouth, and it's full of asbestos. It's considered a hazardous building, and it had Legionnaire's disease, as we all probably know. I don't know why we were trying, what the money would cost to revamp that would probably be astronomical. But it was voted upon, so I don't know why it's not destroyed.
In the back, please.
You're correct in saying that the town meeting did vote to demolish. The cost of demolition has increased substantially, almost twice what town meeting already voted. There is a way to repurpose it by putting out an RFP for interested parties who might be willing to develop it. Not the town. The bones are good. There was a committee, in spite of what Mrs. Brooks says, there was a committee, and the select board chose to ignore all of the work that was done by that committee, including assessments from environmental engineers and structural engineers and a number of different boards and committees that voted in favor of taking a different approach aside from demolition.
Mr. Savastano, did you want to comment here?
Respectfully, a town meeting member disagrees with what the select board's actions are. Town meeting cannot overrule the select board. They have control over this building. Again, these warrant articles are out of order and they're not legal, and if they were to pass, I would tell the select board to ignore them.
Okay, let's go back to Article 27. Are we ready to vote? Yeah. All in favor of Article 27, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 27 fails at 12:11. Article 28, citizen petition, former police station reuse committee. Mr. Savastano, I know you made a lot of comments about Article 27. It seems like they're similar for 28. Do you have anything to add with regard to 28?
I do, and this is even more problematic because it appears to create a situation of collusion under 30B, the way Chapter 30B, the procurement statute works. The town decides what it wants to do with the building. Then if it were to ask for bids, the town would provide the guidelines as to what it wants to do with the building. It would then issue an RFP and seek bids. Here you would have a potential bidder providing the town with a proposal which would give the chosen bidder an unfair advantage in bidding process. It would appear to be collusion. It would be illegal under the procurement statute. And again, I would advise the select board to ignore it.
Do I have this could die by lack of a motion. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Sorry, Finance Committee recommendation?
The Finance Committee voted unanimously to not recommend this article.
And Select Board?
Select Board voted unanimously not to recommend.
Do we have any further discussion on this? We're ready to vote? All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. Article 28 fails at 12:12. So what I'd really love to do, with your permission, is to do Schedule A right now versus taking a break. How do we feel about that? Do we feel like we need a 5-minute recess, or do you think we can go right into it? I love that you want to go right into it. Okay. So let's go back to Article 12, which is Schedule A. It's our budget. Hold on. I got a lot of paperwork here. Okay, so the article before, Schedule A, fiscal year 2027 budget appropriation. And for this, I am recognizing Mr. Haddad.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. So this year, the town really worked hard to develop a balanced budget to bring forward to town meeting. As you've heard in recent years, we've had many challenges as far as inflation. Many of you are facing this at home. The town is not exempt from that. We also have had difficulties keeping up with funding for our public education system. We worked closely with the school administration this year to come to a budget that meets the needs of Dartmouth Public Schools. We did develop the Budget Advisory Group this year. This was something that was mentioned at the last town meeting as something that should be, done. It includes 2 members of the Finance Committee, 2 members of the Select Board, 2 members of the School Committee. With that, we are presenting a budget of $113,389,515. The key drivers are primarily education, our health insurance cost, OPEB, and retirement cost. As far as health insurance, we also made big steps this year in that we were able to change joint purchasing groups and save the town and employees a collective $2 million. At the request of the Select Board, those funds were reinvested in our employees, something that town meeting has brought up in the past. And the town is now at a much higher rate of being competitive as far as our benefits to employees. Our high deductible plans are now funded at a 75-25% split.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mrs. Brooks, you're moving this?
Yes, we're moving this.
As second? Thank you. Finance Committee recommendation.
Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend.
And the Select Board.
Select Board voted 5-0 to recommend.
Okay, thank you. So all of you have the packet in front of you. It's about 13 pages. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the totals for each section. And if you have interest in discussing something in that section of the budget, I'm going to ask you to call out a hold. Could you call it fairly loudly? Because sometimes there's chatter that I'm not quite sure is a hold. Okay? So let's get started. Town meeting, total $3,800. Moderator, 0. You get what you pay for, right? Select Board Town Administration, Personnel Services, Select Board Town Administration, $793,596. Hold. Okay. Finance Committee, $510,000. Town Accountant, $186,197. Assessors, $427,187. Director of Budget and Finance, $663,325. Town Collector, $456,006. Legal, $607,410. Human Resources Department, $203,245. Management Information Systems, $883,504. Town Clerk, $332,245. Election and Registration, $147,500. Conservation Commission, $222,540. Planning Board, $208,553. Page 4, Board of Appeals, $76,424. Community Development Department, 0. Facility and Vehicle Maintenance, Town Hall and Other Buildings, $741,464. Vacant Building Maintenance, 0. Solar Net Metering Credits, $135,000. Communications, $76,000. Page 5, Public Safety. Police Department, $10,190,253. Hold on that. Ambulance Contract, 0. Building Department, $652,896. Sealer of Weights and Measures, $13,515. Page 6. Emergency Management Agency, $75,000. Animal Control, $200,147. Natural Resources, $26,571. Page 7, Schools. I haven't even said it. I didn't even read the total. All right. Let me just read the totals and keep my rhythm. I know we got to hold here. $58,255. Yeah. Let's try again. $58,255,917. Greater New Bedford Regional Vocational Technical High School, $6,150,000. Bristol County Agricultural High School, $200,000 for a total of $64,605,917. I got a hold on that. I heard you. Yes, absolutely. Yep. I got a hold on New Bedford Voc. Page 8, Department of Public Works, salaries, $3,517,811. Department of Public Works expenses, $1,157,946. Streetlights, $65,000. Traffic lights, $8,000. Regional Refuse Management District assessment, 0. Page 9, Board of Health, $470,484. Council on Aging, $453,643. Hold on, Council on Aging. Youth Commission, $96,652. Veterans Department, $664,675. Page 10. $1,410,164. I'm sorry, libraries, $1,410,164. Recreation Department, 0. Parks Commission, $513,246. Historical Commission, $250. Page 11. Maturing debt, $1,257,000. Interest on debt, $662,896. Page 12. Employee benefits, pensions and retirements, $7,276,666. Workers' compensation, $355,000. Unemployment compensation, $78,500. Health and life insurance, $10,223,319. Medicare payroll tax, $900,000. Police medical disability, $225,000. Other employee benefits, $196,587. Page 12, page 13. Property and liability insurance, $1,428,381, for a grand total of $113,389,515. So let's go back. We're going to start at page 1 and we're going to clear the holds. If you have a question, let me know. So my first hold is for, first hold I have is for Select Board Town Administrator. Call that hold, please. Gentleman right here, please. Oh, nope. Who called the hold on that one? Thank you.
Bob Gorvin, Precinct 9. And the actual for fiscal year 2024 was $566,000. In 2025, it was $631,000. This year's budget is $793,000. So what I want to know is why is the difference between this year's budget and the actuals in prior years so much higher? And what were the full-time equivalents back then versus now?
Okay, let's see if we can get you those answers. Mr. Haddad.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The FTE amount has not changed. What has changed with the actuals is we had a number of positions in that department not filled, and so we have part of the salaries that weren't accounted for in the actuals. So in fiscal 24 and fiscal 25, we didn't have a full-time town administrator, and so we had a co-interim town administrators that helped to reduce that. We also have had our communications department. Part of the position was unfilled for part of the year, and so we are back at full staffing. And so you'll see those actuals ramp up because we're at full staffing. But there hasn't been any additional positions created in those fiscal years.
Anyone else on this line item? I'm clearing the hold there and we're moving on. Great. My next hold, I believe, is on the assessor's office. Who called that hold, please? In the back, please. Ms. Guiducci.
I was just curious if you could explain the increase from, at the actuals from 2024 and then the increase for 2026-27.
Mr. Carrero, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So in the fiscal 25 budget, we were looking at doing, we're about to do a major inspection, cyclical inspection around town. You'll be seeing that pretty soon. So we were doing some of that in-house. We have to go to outside vendors for that. So that's the increase between what we're looking for in this fiscal year. We're going to be doing a major reval on properties in town.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the assessor's budget before we move on? Great. On page, I think my next hold is on public safety, which is on page 5. Who called that hold, please?
I'm just curious to understand the overtime on the dispatcher.
Would we like the chief to answer that? Chief Levesque, would it be possible for you to come down and help us with that question?
Yeah.
Brian Levesque, Chief of Police. Can I just get clarification on what the question is about the dispatch overtime?
There's a question with regard to dispatch overtime. Will you let Ms. Guiducci have a mic and...
That's all. That's why I was questioning it.
Could you speak into the mic so the...
Overtime, that it sounded like a lot of money.
It's gone down from 133 to 86, but you're saying 86 is a lot of money.
Mr. Levesque, Chief Levesque, could you please talk about that?
Sure.
At
So
all?
we have a minimum staffing level, and when dispatchers take time off that they're entitled to, we have to replace them at overtime, which is what creates that cost.
Thank you. Anything else on the police department before I clear that hold? Okay. Page 7, I think, is my next hold. On the schools, and I know I have a gentleman right here. Can I give you a microphone just so we can hear you, please? Thank you.
Peter Howland, Precinct 1. So I'm more specifically wondering about the New Bedford Voc budget. I'd like to know how many students we currently have in New Bedford Voc, and I'd like to know how many students we're allowed to basically put into New Bedford Voc per year with that lottery system. And are we filling our allotted seats per year per students, I guess is.
Sure. Well, that's a great question. Who's best to answer that? Would that be you or Mr. Kiley?
If you give me one moment, I can get you the actual student count.
Sure.
As far as the lottery system goes, the number of students that we have will vary, and so that's part of the reason why you're seeing the assessment actually go down this year, is because our student enrollment as of October 1st of this past year is lower. And it looks like, but that could change over time. So it's a fluid situation, but that's the actual assessment that we get. And if you give me 1 minute, I'll get you the number of students. So the assessment for Dartmouth is based on 284 students. That is 13.1% of the operating ratio for the Greater New Bedford Voc Tech.
And you want to know if we were, so I don't understand how the lottery, so I have trouble answering his question about are we filling all the seats available to us, or is that, it's all based on lottery now?
Correct. My understanding from Superintendent Mike Watson is that they still have more demand than seats that they're able to fill.
So, do you have a follow-up question on that?
So we are not currently using all of our seats available, and that's because we don't have enough students enrolled?
No, the contrary.
Okay, so we have all of our seats that were allowed are filled with Dartmouth students.
Yeah, the demand for students to go there exceeds the capacity.
So they have more students that would like to attend Voc than they have seats available for Voc students.
It's 200 and...
Just give us the number, 230?
284 is what our assessment is based off of.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Moderator, just some clarification. I think
Sure.
When we talked to the superintendent, he had mentioned to us that there were over 1,000 seats that can't be filled at Voc.
So you have 1,000 students.
Surrounding districts.
So in total for the Greater New Bedford Regional Technical Vocational High School, there are 1,000 students in the area that it serves for whom they cannot provide seats because there aren't enough. Okay? Right. I'll get to you, Mr. Borges, okay?
Arthur Gerard, Precinct 2. What is the cost per student for each high school? Dartmouth High, Voc, and Bristol Aggie? What's the individual cost?
Do you have that, or do you want?
And I understand that we're not allowed to adjust for the Voc or maybe Bristol Aggie. We only can adjust for Dartmouth High.
So let me get you some questions. Let me get your questions answered. Thank you.
So just so I can better understand the question, is the question the total per pupil spending or the cost to the town of Dartmouth for these students? Because, for instance, Greater New Bedford Voc Tech, we pay an assessment, but that's just our portion. There's also state aid, they get grants, there's things like that. So the cost to the town of Dartmouth, it varies, right? So are you asking for the town of Dartmouth's cost or the total cost per pupil?
What does it cost per pupil to send an individual to Voc? What is the cost? Would it include the assessment, of course? What is the total cost for that? What is the total cost for a student at Dartmouth High, and what's the total cost for a student at Bristol Aggie?
So, Mr. Haddad, what I think I'm hearing you try to clarify is there's a cost to us and then there's a per pupil cost, and they are different at the Greater New Bedford Regional Technical Vocational High School and at Bristol Aggie than they are. So you're trying to compare apples to apples and not give a number that, okay. So you understand that some of it is what we pay as a community and some of it is not. So I don't know if you have that data available or just what we pay as a community.
As a community, we pay, based on this year's assessment, $21,270.76 per student for Greater New Bedford Voc Tech. And Assistant Superintendent Kiley and Dr. Saban McGuire, Superintendent of Schools, can certainly speak to Dartmouth Public Schools. Bristol Aggie's assessment varies. We have not gotten that yet, so this is a projection, so I can't give you the actual number for that.
And that's what the town pays versus the per pupil cost.
Right, exactly.
So that's what we pay per pupil.
That's what it costs the town of Dartmouth taxpayers out of this budget per pupil, correct?
Okay, but there's a state aid component that is not factored into that the school would get. Is that true, Mr. Haddad? There's a state aid component and some other revenues that would go to the school that's not factored into that $21,000.
That is correct.
So it's hard to compare it to what okay.
Exactly.
Do you have a follow-up question?
It's $20,000 per student. The cost for Bristol Aggie, you're not sure? Or what would it be, like another $20,000 per student?
Yeah, we're looking for that information right now to get you.
So but to be clear, Mr. Gerard, just it's the cost to the town versus the cost per student to educate. He's giving you the cost to the town, not the cost per student to educate. And I'm just clarifying because I think that the public school, Dartmouth Public School budget is going to look a little different on a cost per student. That's all I'm trying to differentiate. Mr. Kiley, did you want to speak to that for the Dartmouth Public Schools?
Is this on? Thank you, Madam Moderator. So the Dartmouth Public Schools per pupil expenditure is $19,335 per pupil. I don't have the information about Aggie or Voc, but.
Thank you. So we're trying to get the Bristol Ag one right now. I'm going to just.
If you want to move on to the next, we'll come
Yeah,
back
I'm going to
it.
get my next question and then we'll come back, okay? Mr. Borges, did you have a question?
Gil Borges, Precinct 4. Actually, I have a couple of questions. On the Voc Tech, how much influence do we have over their enrollment process? And I say that as the father of an alumni from Voc who went to Dartmouth schools and was on average a C student, and now he's making well over 6 figures as a diesel mechanic. I found back then and even now, Voc is shutting out the people that belong going there. They're touting their college graduate, the people that go on to college, they tout that rate. I think it's like 90%. The people that go from Voc to college are never going to come back and become carpenters, mechanics, HVAC personnel, none of that. They'll be happier throwing burgers, flipping burgers at Wendy's than actually doing one of those jobs. So the question would be is, how much influence do we have over how they pick people to go there?
So my understanding, and Mr. Haddad, why don't you speak to that one?
Not getting too far off the topic of the warrant article, there is a lottery system defined under state legislation of how admissions are handled. The town of Dartmouth does have 2 representatives that serve on the Greater New Bedford Voc Tech School Committee. They're appointed by the Select Board. But the lottery system, which the state legislature has determines the admission standards for that. And I'm certainly not qualified to get into what those standards exactly are, but they're based on if a student has been convicted of a felony, they can basically not get as much consideration. If they have chronic absenteeism, that can affect the lottery. But beyond that, the lottery system is exactly that, a lottery system.
So we're starting to stray a little from the budget. Do you have a question about the budget, Ms.?
A question on the actual school budget. Maybe someone from either the school committee or the superintendent or somebody could clarify this. The classroom staff, why are social workers considered part of the classroom staff? I mean, janitors are not because they don't work in the classroom, but they do clean them up. Social workers don't work in the classroom, they make up plans. This line here should include teachers' assistants and teachers, period, so that we know exactly what we're spending on the people that are actually teaching.
So let's see if Mr. Kiley would like to explain why they're included in that number.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So we report and budget according to the categories that the Department of Ed requires us to. So all instructional staff are grouped in our classroom instructional staff grouping in our budget. So they're all represented there. And that does include social workers and other supports, special education supports, and a variety of other staff members.
So what I'm hearing you say is it's a prescribed category and you have guidelines as to who gets included in what line item. Great. Any further questions on the school budget? On the aisle there, please.
Dear Madam Moderator, I have several questions and then a comment after I get my answers. I'm not against the school budget, but I think town meeting needs to know exactly how much the school budget is. It's over $72,615,917. Thanks to Dr. Jack McDonald, years ago, he separated certain expenses out of the school budget. Capital improvements, health insurance, etc., were taken out of the school budget and put under the other line items. So we need to know exactly how much we're spending. The CPC is $1,175,000. Health insurance is approximately $5 million. It's more than that, but I'm going to give you a small approximation. The youth advocate is approximately $35,000. Property and liability insurance is approximately $800,000. And I didn't get an answer because to be quite honest with you, I didn't ask. The police resource officer, we don't have their salaries in this. I'm not against giving the money to the schools. My grandchildren are a fourth generation in this school system, and every single one of them have done fantastic. So I think we need to support our children, but I think town meeting needs to know how much the school budget really, really is. My one question, and I have a comment about New Bedford Voc after. My one question is, how many students do we take in for school choice, and how many students do we send out for school choice? And under New Bedford Voc, you can't get a better education. I have two grandchildren who graduated from New Bedford Voc. My granddaughter is making over $100,000 a year plus. My grandson is working for the federal government, both in fields that they went to that New Bedford Voc for. So school choice, in and out.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. We'll get you an answer to that. Mr. Kiley, could you give us those statistics?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We take in approximately 120 school choice students per year. We just had 36 kids graduate on Sunday from Dartmouth High School, school choice students. And there are about 80 students who choose to go to another school district.
Thank you very much. Anything, Mr. Haddad, you have
I have the answer to the Bristol Aggie question.
Yes, please.
So I do not have the numbers for fiscal 27, but current year, fiscal 26, we have 20 students enrolled at Bristol County Agricultural High School. The total assessment to the town was $207,933.20. That equates to $10,396.66 per student.
Thank you. Anything else on the school budget? Let's move on then. How about Council on Aging? Who called the hold on Council on Aging? In the back, please.
Can someone please explain or distinguish between the director of the COA and the COA coordinator?
Yes.
Yeah, so the director oversees all operations, is the director of the COA. In the coordinators, we have outreach services and program coordinators. So those are two positions. They're support staff within the department.
Thank you. Any further questions on the Council on Aging? I'm sorry.
Margot Moore, Precinct 9. I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for the coffee and goodies. It certainly kept me going today.
Yeah, thank you to the Council on Aging for that. That was great. Okay, anything else on the Council on Aging? Okay, I believe that has cleared all the holds. So are we ready to vote on the budget? Okay, all in favor of the budget as presented, please indicate by raising your hand. Opposed, please raise your hand. The motion carries at 12:42, and I would entertain a motion to dissolve town meeting. And a second. All in favor? Opposed? Town meeting is dissolved at 12:42. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done.